Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is FRD. Welcome back to the Debbie Daily Show.
This is Constantine Graveline, and I never listen to the Debbie Daily Show.
It's time to listen to Debbie Daily Show and chew bubble gum, and you just ran out of gum.
This is Celtic, and you're listening to the Debbie Daily Show.
You're listening to the Debbie Daily Show. You better not click off or I'll find you and cut your head off.
What's up? This is the Fat Red Dragon from the 420 Grindhouse, and you're listening to the Debbie Daily Show.
Hi, you're listening to the Debbie Daily Show. Good job. All right, you're listening to Debbie Daily Show. Get down on your knees. I'm sorry. Hi. This is Becky, and you're listening to the Debbie Daily Show.
Becky. Did she hear you say that?
Well, hi, Debbie. This is Mr. Solution.
I think you need to take a break.
Hi, this is Deputy from Skype Assholes on the Debbie Daily Show.
Like every time I do a show, I should break off one of my fingers because that represents the pain I'm going through.
Who's the black private with the sex machine and all the chicks? Damn right.
So what is that? Are we going to be hate tonight, or are we going to all piss Mommy off?
Who is the man that would make his neck for brother man?
This is Snake. I'm on the Debbie Daily Show right now. I am from the Skype Assholes. We are lords of the internet.
Who's the cat that won't cop out when that things are all about?
Right on. So this cat snap is a bad mother. What I'm talking about, sir?
Hello, this is Bebop, and you're doing the right thing. You're listening to the Debbie Daily Show.
Boo-boo can follow the money. Maybe you are stupid. I'm stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid is as stupid does, and I do some pretty damn stupid things.
This is the Chat Warrior Stat Music Hub, and you're listening to Debbie Daily in her show.
Nobody likes a Debbie Downer, okay? I mean, you gotta snap out of it, Debbie. Come on, Deb, you're even bumming me out now, okay? Your attitude just sucks.
I just want everything to go back to the way it was.
Hello, guys. I'm here with you. Guess what? No dead air. Well, sometimes you just get lucky, I guess. I had a request to play something for a friend of mine over on Talk Shoe. A guy I met over there by the name of P. Dembski. So this is for you, P. Dembski. This is a special request.
And I was using that as a way of giving you a gauge.
All right. I'm going to bring on the line right now a very prominent feminist.
Oh, great.
Well, Bob, you knew it was going to happen. She also hosts her own radio show on public radio. Debbie Daly, she does Daly's Daily Radio Show and is on the line with us from New York here this evening. And just turn that down if you wouldn't mind, bud. On the line with us tonight from New York. How are you, Debbie? I can hear you fine, yeah. Well, hold on for just a second, Debbie. I wanted to mention that Debbie is hearing impaired, and so
is that why I can't understand a word you said?
Yeah, she is hearing impaired, but has achieved quite a lot in her career, and I think you'll find her interesting. Go ahead, Debbie.
I'm sorry, I can't understand what she said.
All right, she said when you saw the lady walk in and you...
No, hold on for a minute. Am I to understand that you understand her?
I do, yeah.
Am I the only one that she doesn't...
I don't know, Bob. I understand what she said. If you want me to interpret...
Yeah, that would be really great. Wow.
She said you're being sexist.
How am I being sexist when I say that I can't understand you?
She said you're being sexist when you comment on the fact that she's hearing impaired. I can do a show like anybody else, she said.
No, I'm not being sexist. I said I can't understand what you're saying, ma'am, and I don't know how you got a radio show when I can't understand anything you're saying.
She got a radio show because she was hired by the forward-thinking people in public radio who hire people who are physically challenged, and she does a damn good job, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Can I get back to what I want to say?
Is that you talking or is that her?
That's her. I'm interpreting for you. Is that what you want? She said he's a real blockhead, isn't he, Phil?
Hey, let me tell you something, Debbie Daly. I haven't insulted you. I'm just simply trying to understand what you're saying.
In a lot of ways, you've insulted me because you've insulted millions of American women for the things that you've said.
And what did I say? Millions of American women. Why? Because I commented on that one lady?
Yeah, because you said she had BBs on a billiard table. That,
That insults millions of American women. I wasn't talking about millions of American women.
Sing me an old song, yeah. Oh, singer, sing me an old song. Sing me an old song about cotton face. Tell me how the good earth feels down in the high white cotton. Yeah, 'cause in my life I'll never get to walk on my knees in the field. Oh, singer, sing about the railroad. Sing about a coal shoveling fireman on the L&N rail. Let me gather around the fire with all the people in the depot. 'Cause in my life, singer, I'll never ride those coal-fired trains. Take me back, oh, singer, take the people live when life was slow. Singer, take me to the river. Let me ride the big river flow down to New Orleans. Let me lean overboard and wash my hands in the Mississippi water. 'Cause singer, I can only ride that boat and a song you sing. Take me back, oh singer, take me back. I'm living a life I can't slow down, except with a song. And I wanna know how the people make without big corporation. And I wanna feel how the people live when life was slow. Singer, sing me an old song. Sing me an old song about cotton babe. Tell me how the good earth feels down in the high white cotton. Yeah, 'cause in my life I'll never get to walk on the knees.
Unmuted.
In the field.
Yes. I used to sing that with my grandmother while she played piano. Mr. Talks is in the room. Everybody be good. I played that because I just started missing my grandmother today, but she would play that on the piano and we would sing together and we would harmonize and it was so fun. Damn it, I wish people didn't have to die. It's so stupid. Ugh. Hello, Mr. Talk. Last night we had an interesting conversation on my Spreaker show with Mr. Solution and Patrick. It was like do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It was like the Twilight Zone. They were having two separate conversations. I didn't really understand it, but it was really weird, to tell you the truth. Patrick, Mr. Solution would talk about something, and then Patrick would go off into this complete other area and then ask Mr. Solution to respond, and Mr. Solution would be like, what the hell are you talking about? It was so funny. Mr. Solution would be talking about something real specific, and Patrick would go, well, and just literally go off in a different direction. And it was like, okay, they were on my show. And actually, I don't know if it was on the BTR show or not. I think it was. I'm not sure. But anyway, it was interesting to say the least. But I was talking to Mr. Midnight Movie Man. Debbie, yes? Scratch the man. Oh, okay. I'm going to co-host myself tonight. Let me get my co-host voice. Hold on. All right, here we go. Are you there, co-host?
Right here.
Okay, there's my co-host for this evening.
Now, what were you saying about Mr. Midnight Movie?
Mr. Midnight Movie, thank you. Mr. Midnight Movie called me today on my cell phone, and we were talking about narcissism. And I know that a lot of people out there believe and know, which is very, very true, of course.
Be nice.
No, I'm just saying that Mr. Midnight Movie does talk a lot about narcissism.
Did you ever think that means he's a narcissist?
No, Mr. Midnight Movie is not a narcissist. I think I've gone nuts. Anyway. And I told him that I would do a show tonight on narcissism and see if we could dive into this deal and see what's going on.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So let's do that. Let's first of all start talking about, I know I'm starting early, but he who hesitates, and whatever, anyway. The first thing I found that I thought was interesting, as some of you might say, is a website called Twitterland. I'm joking. It's called TWTR Land. TWTR. And it gives you all these interesting stats about your tweets and your Twitters and all the kind of stuff. So check that out if you want to. TWTRland.com, Twitterland. But the first thing I found was I took a narcissistic test. Are you a narcissist? And I came out, no, that I'm not. But I thought the questions were interesting, but the inventory on me said that I scored a 17. And to be considered narcissistic, you'd have to be above 20. And I thought the questions were interesting.
5 points just for going to that website?
No. And I think what it is I went back through it and I touched the answers that were answer A on every one of them. And I'm going to try that again because I forget exactly what I scored, but I can do that pretty quick while we're talking. But I think that a lot of people on Blog Talk Radio say that certain people are narcissistic. You know, you hear that word all the time, or at least you do in my group over here. Victor said, do you get 5 points for just going to that website? I think I know what you mean, Victor.
If you're at this website, yes, you are.
If you're at this website, you are a narcissist, Victor said. No, I did it simply because, wait a minute. I think some of these will trip us up. Let me see if you answer one way on every one of them, if that's the high score. If so, we'll know what it means. I'm clicking A. There's either A or B on every question. You choose A or you choose B. And I am now through, and I will say score my test. Oops, there's one more. I think I could be wrong, but let me see what happens when I say score my quiz and see what I get. If it scores really high. Well, it scored a 23, which I think there's a couple of them that, I think I know which answers you're supposed to give. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll tell you what some of them are and tell me what you think. If you answer any of these, the first one is, I have a natural talent for influencing people. Or, I am not good at influencing people. Number 2, modesty does not become me. Or B, I am essentially a modest person. Number 3, I would do almost anything on a dare. Or B, I tend to be fairly cautious. I tend to be a fairly cautious person. Number 4, when people compliment me, I get embarrassed. Or B, I know that I am good because everybody keeps telling me so. Number 5, the thought of ruling the world frightens the hell out of me. Or, if I ruled the world, it would be a better place. Now, Victor, I had to choose B on that one because I tell Victor all the time, damn it, if I could have done that, it would have been done right. But sometimes you wonder if you're just saying things or if you really mean it. I'd have to say in that respect, I think I mean that. And let me explain myself. What I mean by that is so many things nowadays seem screwed up, and I just know that if I would have been in on the deal, it wouldn't be that way. Because I would stop and say, excuse me, my hand's up. Why is it on TalkShoe when you go to, we need to fix something first, people, before we let the website go. You know, there's just certain things that I would have fixed. You know, it's like some things that are things so stupid that I just know that if I would have been in on the meeting, I would have held my hand up. I would have raised my hand and I would have said, no. We cannot release this until this is fixed. It's so stupid. And so if that makes me a narcissist, then I am a narcissist. But I think that if you're honest, you would feel the same way. I mean, how many times do you see things that are so stupid that with one little tweak, and it could be perfect? And it makes you wonder, why didn't they do that? I mean, I just want to bash my head against the wall about Blog Talk Radio half the time. I think if they would take, I have actually been told that for $50,000, they could tweak this website and have the quality of the sound completely improved. But they don't. And another thing is, how many of you out there that are on Blog Talk Radio, you have a show on Blog Talk Radio, and you don't get quality customer service? When if you look at Blog Talk Radio, we are Blog Talk Radio. You and I, the hosts, that's what they're here for. People come to blogtalkradio.com to do what? To read the ads? No. To listen to the shows, right? So what would you do? You would take care of the shows. That would be your main priority, but it's not. It's almost as if we're their last priority. It's almost as if we're bothering them to say, hey, every time I call in, such and such happens, or whatever. For example, I told them 2 weeks ago, every time I dial into my show, it says, since it appears you are calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now. And then it says, your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I don't understand that. What it should say, your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, like that. But mine doesn't. When you call in, every night, 100%, and I'm proving this on Spreaker because tonight on Spreaker, I started the stream over there before my show on BTR started. And you can hear it very plainly if you go to Spreaker and listen to the beginning. It says, since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. And I don't understand that. It's as if I've already dialed into the show or something. And so I wrote them. No, excuse me, I got them on a chat. And I said, why is this? And they said, well, call in on this number and tell us what happens. And I called in first and it didn't do it. The second time it did it. And then I never got a response. So, I mean, I guess maybe when you know that you're the only game in town, well, then you pretty much, whatever. I don't know. I love this network. I've always loved this network. I think it's one of the funnest social networks around. But you better be thick-skinned to be on here. You better be able to take the crap that you see in these chat rooms. The chat rooms are brutal. What I mean by that is there are certain people that come into chat rooms with the intent of doing nothing but down-talking, is that a word? Talking down about the host. And I find that deplorable. I hate it. Can't stand it. So there you have it. But getting back to this narcissistic thing. Now, what I found out about it is some interesting things. And see if you know somebody like this, and we're gonna delve into this and see what we can find out, see what we can figure out, but I'll be doing mostly some reading, okay? At the core of extreme narcissism is an egotistical preoccupation with self, personal preferences, aspirations, needs, success, and how he or she is perceived by others. Now let's stop for a second, all right? Now be honest. How many of you out there think about yourself? How many of you think about your personal preferences? How many of you think about your aspirations, where you're going in life, and perhaps how others see you. Hang on, what's up? I don't really like that stuff. I don't know why. I'll buy dinner if you'll go.
Sure.
Okay. Victor's offering to cook this food. I love you, baby. Huh?
No, it's called Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, everything's probably closed. You know, they roll the streets up here at 10. If there's something open, let me know. I didn't cook dinner tonight. I didn't feel good. I was tired. But anyway, how many of you out there are honest? Number one, you have to be honest. And you have to say that you spend a relatively normal amount of time thinking about your personal preferences. I know I do. But now what they say is a narcissist is an egotistical. No. At the core of a narcissist is an egotistical preoccupation with that. And I find that to be stupid. I mean, because am I going to sit around here and think about what my neighbor wants or what their aspirations in life are? Are you kidding me? And I found this on every single thing that I went to. Everything. Now, I think if you know me in real life, first of all, you'll know that my online persona is much like, if not identical to my real life persona. I just am not that kind of person that can fake it. Please say that I unmuted my call earlier. Hang on, let me go take a look. Yes. And what gets to me about this is I think, let's just continue, okay? At the core of extreme narcissism is an egotistical preoccupation with self. Now, I think if many of you were honest, you would say that most of the time in your life, during your day-to-day routine, you're pretty much thinking about what's going on in your life. Right? Personal preferences, aspirations, needs, success, and how he or she is perceived by others. How many of you walk out of a bank building and worry if your fly is unzipped, if your shirt is hanging out the back of your suit, is your pants leg? Are you worrying about that? Or are you worried about the person standing over at the street corner? Of course you're not. You're worried about how you look. Not so much how you look, because even that in and of itself sounds conceited. Oh, how do I look? I could give a crap how people think I look. But I'm worrying about how I'm presenting myself to the world. Am I neat and tidy? That's what I'm getting at here. All right, let's continue. Some amount of basic narcissism is healthy. But this type of narcissism is better termed as responsibly taking care of oneself. Now, that's exactly what I just said. Okay, I didn't read that. It is what I would call normal or healthy narcissism. Okay, well then I should have read that. That's what I'm talking about. I think basically at the heart of all of us is a healthy amount of narcissism. But I think when some people call out the word narcissist, oh, they're such a narcissist, they're such a narcissist, I think it's people that and I don't even know if this article is going to say this, but I think it spills over into psychopaths. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Extreme narcissists tend to be people who move towards eventually cutting others off and becoming emotionally isolated. There are all types of levels on that road to isolation. Narcissists come in all shapes and sizes. I would like to address how a person becomes an extreme narcissist. Okay? Narcissism in lay terms basically means that a person is totally absorbed in themselves. The extreme narcissist is the center of his entire universe. How many of us know somebody like that? Okay, now, stay with me here. To me, that is very indicative of a child, a small child, like the age of 3 to 5, 5 to 7 perhaps, maybe somewhere around in there, because their world revolves around them. Feed me, I'm thirsty, I want that, I'm going to throw a fit. Everything is their me world, right? And I believe that some people that I have come in contact with, and I'm sure you'll be agreeing with me, have been stuck in that mode. Some of us say they never grew up. Some of us say they're immature. Some of us say they act like babies. But in fact, is that narcissism? Is narcissism, in my never to be humbled opinion, is it the failure of maturation of a person? Maturity. Now, I've had many people tell me before that to be mature is to be able to control your emotions. I've also heard it said that being mature is the art of not using cuss words. I've often been told that being mature means, well, I hate to keep going back and back and back, but that's what I've always been told. It is the ability to control your emotion, or not to act on emotion. That's being immature. That's being a child. That's having a childlike. Now, the Bible does tell us that when we grow up, we are to leave our childlike behaviors behind. So there you go. That's one big thing that I want to throw in there. The extreme narcissist is the center of his own universe. To an extreme narcissist, people are things to be used. How many of us know somebody like that? That simply looks at people as a way to further their cause or to get higher on the ladder. I've known people like that. I've known people very close to me like that. Not in my private family here in my home, but people in my family. Excuse me. It usually starts with a significant emotional wound or a series of them culminating in a major trauma of separation or attachment. It usually starts with a significant emotional wound or a series of those culminating in a major trauma of separation. I wish somebody would call and explain that to me. No matter how socially skilled an extreme narcissist is, he has a major attachment dysfunction. The extreme narcissist is frozen in childhood. Well, that's what I just got through saying. They are frozen in childhood. He became emotionally stuck at the time of his major trauma of separation. Now, I was told by both of my children's doctors that they had attachment issues. They had separation anxiety. My son more than my daughter, but my daughter had it I thought just as bad. When it came time for them to go to kindergarten, they didn't want to go. And Heather took it a little bit harder than Stephen did. Heather would wake up every morning, "Mommy, my stomach hurts." I mean, she would throw a fit. She didn't want to leave because I had been the only world she'd ever known. I was a stay-at-home mom. We lived in a subdivision that didn't have many children in it. And we sort of just created our own little world, a three. Victor went to work or played golf, and it was us three against the world. And we had this world that we created. We had things that we did all the time. I wasn't homeschooling at that time, but we were just together. And when it came time for her to get out of that car and go into that building, with all of those strangers and Stephen and Mommy got to drive off and go back home, she wasn't going to have it. She would go in screaming and kicking. So we had special permission that I got to sit in the room with her for, 5 minutes, and then 3 minutes, and then they tried to help her with friends and stuff like that. And to this day, they're both still here. And I don't know if that is, they're both healthy adults. They have great relationships with people. They're leaders in their own right. They're successful at their jobs. They're successful in school. But they're both mature. I can't say that they're immature, but they just still have a little bit of that separation anxiety. But does that mean they're narcissistic? My children are anything but narcissistic. Let's see. In my work with extreme narcissistic patients, I have found that their emotional age and maturity corresponds to the age that they experienced their major trauma. Well, my children never experienced a major trauma, so that doesn't count. But anyway, let's don't talk about me. Think about somebody in your life or yourself. This trauma was devastating to the point that it almost killed that person emotionally. The pain was never gone. Excuse me, I can't seem to get my voice tonight. And the bleeding was continuous. So in order to survive, this person creates a protective barrier that insulates them from the external world of people. He begins to generalize that all people cannot be trusted. I think this can be looked upon as the chip on the shoulder. You know what I'm talking about? People that have a chip on their shoulder, people that don't really trust people. There was a very popular children's Christmas animation movie. Do you guys remember it? It was either Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or, let me think what it was. The Island of Misfit Toys. Was that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Yes. Okay. Well, no. Wait a minute. No, it was the Little Drummer Boy. The Little Drummer Boy in the animation film, the very famous animation film, come, they told me, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. Okay?
Please don't sing that song.
Please kiss my ass. And he says that after he saw his family's house burn down and his mother and father died, that he began to hate all people. Remember that? That reminds me of that for some reason. However, let's keep going. There's also an old song that came out, I think in the 50s or the 60s. I want to say it was the 60s. And it reminds me of what we're talking about. I mean, I'm trying to get down to the core of this. I don't want to talk about how some people are narcissistic and, oh, you're narcissistic and they're narcissistic. I want to find out what's going on. Why people are narcissistic. What is narcissism? What makes them narcissistic? You know what I'm talking about? I really want to get into this because I hear it so damn much. Not to me, I hear other people saying it. Not Debbie's a narcissist. I hear a lot of people using that word, calling other people narcissistic. Well, that's narcissistic behavior, or they're narcissistic, or do you know what I'm talking about? What is going on with my computer? My computer is messing up for some reason. I don't know why. I can't go to any websites. I'm being tone hacked. No, I'm joking. We'll see if we can get it to work here in a second. Come on, computer, work. Well, I I'm reminded of a song, a very old song that came out, I think, in the 60s by Simon and Garfunkel. Was it Simon and Garfunkel? Yeah. It was called The Sound of Silence. No. I Am a Rock. The lyric was, my computer won't work, but the lyric was, a winter's day in a deep and dark December, I am alone, hiding in my room, safe within my room, my womb. I touch no one and no one touches me. I am a rock. I am an island. And that's exactly what they just talked about in that, what we were reading. All right, let's go back. All right. Now, that was interesting, the way it said, remember I said, to me, it seems like people that don't grow up. To an extreme narcissistic person, it starts with emotional wound. We talked about that. No matter how socially skilled an extreme narcissist is, they have a major attachment dysfunction. They are frozen in childhood. They became emotionally stuck at the time of the major trauma. Their emotional age and maturity corresponds to the age they experienced their major trauma. The trauma was so devastating that it almost killed the person emotionally, so therefore we've already learned that they build up walls, insulating themselves from the external world where they believe that all people are there to hurt them and that people cannot be trusted. Which tells me if we encounter somebody with a narcissistic attitude, we should feel sorry for them. And of course, we don't say, oh, who hurt you? We don't do that. But we look at them different. Okay? We sort of pity them in a way. Because somebody's hurt them. Probably their parents. The protective insulation barrier or wall is called a false persona. Oh, this is interesting. They create a false identity. Interesting. This identity is not the true person inside. The many types of false personas or identities that an extreme narcissist creates can vary. Now, does this mean multiple personalities? Some narcissists may have the ability to change into a variety. Ooh, listen to this. Change into a variety of identities according to the situation. The wounded child inside may choose to present a front as a badass and a tough individual. He may look by appearance intimidating and scary to the average person, or they could play the nice guy, whom everyone likes. A corporate type version can be one that is diplomatic, proper, and appearing to care for everyone, but in reality does not. Another likable extreme narcissist can be one that chooses the comedic role. He is the life of the party and has everyone in stitches, making them laugh consistently. Everyone wants to include this person because they are so much fun. Now, try to get close and ask personal questions as to how he is internally, and you will find that he will quickly distract you off topic. They will sidestep the question with another joke or making you suddenly forget what you were asking. Narcissists are very skilled at dodging and ducking personal questions. Is somebody in here? Oh, hi, baby. Are you a narcissist? Are you a narcissist? He said, I don't even know what it is. Do you need to talk to me?
No.
Did you order dinner?
No.
Oh, no. You don't take care of me. I'm starving.
We have to look at this place.
What place? You know I'm on the air, right? Okay. Well, sorry, Victor's sitting here. There is also the success-oriented narcissist. She will be your friend and keep you close as long as you are useful. Once you do not have anything more to offer, and she has taken all they wanted from you, you are history. You are no longer desired, wanted, or sought. Stop. Stop right there. I'm sorry, Victor's trying to show me a pizza parlor. this is what everybody that leaves BTR from my show says. Debbie's a narcissist because she uses you and she throws you away. Wrong. What happens is Debbie...
You do know you're talking to yourself in third person.
You do know to stay away from the mic. Debbie will have somebody come into the show. Oh, hi, welcome. They'll call in night after night after night, and they'll slowly work into the show. Then I'll find out they are disruptive. They are... That's the only way you can do this on Blog Talk Radio, is you can't really see somebody. I had a woman come into my show several years ago that was bright, funny, loved her, until about 2 weeks into it, I realized she hated women. Any woman that would call into my show for advice, she was horribly rude to. She would cut me off. She would say, well, I think that you really made a really bad decision. I was going, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What's up? Is that where you're going to go?
Yeah, so just scroll through the menu.
Thank you. How sweet. Okay. And so therefore I weaned her out of the show. Now what I did was I would see her on the call every night on the board, and I would just slowly wait longer and longer to pick her call up. And then I would also put her on hold, more so than normal. Now, what do you think she said when she left my show? Debbie's a narcissist who used me until she didn't need me. No, Debbie had you on the show and found out you're an idiot for one way, or in one form or another. You were either rude to my guests. I had another person join the show. And what I mean is when somebody calls in and they're really fun at first, and some people just sort of push themselves onto the show. They'll just call in every night after night after night after night. And this was more the case with this person. I soon found out that this person was a drama queen that would make up these crazy stories to get attention. And I was like, thank you, but no thank you. So they were weeded out of the show. I had another person come into the show that was very funny, as long as it was just him and I, one-on-one. But whenever I pulled somebody else in on the call, he was very disruptive and would sit and just laugh the whole time. And everybody knows on Blog Talk Radio, it's a Vox situation, which means if one person talks, it out-Voxes the next person. And I was continually listening to the playbacks of nothing but this laughter going on in the background. So I began to mute him. Well, after muting him and muting him and muting him, he decided, F you, and went off and said she's a narcissist. So you can see how somebody would build up their reputation of being like that, because I've had many people come to the show and want to be a part of it, and I've let them on, and then for one reason or another, and it hasn't been that many, I would say maybe a total of 5 people that I could sit and just think of, 5. And so I can see how they would think that, but they're completely wrong. All it is they don't want to they are probably more narcissistic than anybody, and they don't want to take responsibility for what they did. They came onto the show, and I'm sorry. I have a stupid little podcast here that I do. I pay for. It's on Mine and Vic's tab, and I like it ran a certain way. I don't like for people to come on and just bloviate and just take over. There's one guy that will come on, and he'll sit and talk to my callers. I'll say, area code 444, you're on the line. And they'll say, hi, I was calling in to ask y'all what y'all think about City of Dallas parking tickets. And he'll just start talking. He won't even let me talk. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? You know, it's really weird. Yes, we probably all know who that is, but I think all of you, if you will think about this, this will also go into your life. You have people that do this to you, people that, I'm talking mainly about Blog Talk Radio shows. You'll have a show that's popular, and you'll have some people that start calling in, night after night, wanting to just be there. And then they slowly but surely start just taking it over. Now, to me, getting rid of them, they're going to call you a narcissist. But in fact, they're the narcissist. Let's move on. Okay, we've talked about the different identities that they can become. Then we talked about trying to get close. I've got to look at this menu. What sounds good? Chicken marsala. Chicken breast sautéed in butter. Mushrooms topped with a creamy marsala wine sauce. Chicken Isabella. Chicken breast sautéed in white wine, mushrooms, onions, and bell peppers. Chicken parmigiana. Chicken breast sautéed in butter with olive oil, baked with tomato sauce and mozzarella cheese. Fettuccine Alfredo, fettuccine with butter and garlic, fettuccine Alfredo and chicken, fettuccine Alfredo and shrimp, ravioli, manicotti, baked ziti, Molly's salmon San Francisco, salmon sautéed in lemon butter wine, topped with mushrooms and artichokes. Okay, baked lasagna. I know it's lasagna. Layers of white noodles, meat, cheese, tomato sauce served with a house salad and garlic toast. Beef tortellini. What should I get? I think I'll just get the, I don't want any chicken. I just want some fettuccine. Hey, baby? Vic? Are you out there? I could just put y'all on hold and play a stupid song. I think I just want... Wait a minute, what's it called? I think I just want the fettuccine... Well, Debbie? With butter and garlic. The fettuccine with butter and garlic. Okay, Debbie. What a sweetheart. You're so sweet. Oh, my God. Anyway, there is also this success-oriented narcissist. She will be your friend. Okay, we already got that one. I remember a significant half dozen of these people in my life. One narcissistic in particular was on Blog Talk Radio. Her name was Debbie Daly. I'm joking. One narcissist in particular avoids me like the plague because he knows that I do not ultimately plan my life around whether or not people like me or not. Hence, oh wow, this is me. My behavior cannot be... I have told many people, I'm not here to run a popularity contest. If you don't like me, don't like me. I don't care. Maybe I don't like you. But this is what I do care about. I care about you coming into my chat room and spreading your bullshit. Well, I don't like Debbie. I've had people come in here and talk about not liking me and then start spamming my chat room with their freaking show. Come to my show. I'm better than Debbie. I'm like, fuck you. Get out of here. I mean, how rude. Another extreme narcissist stopped calling me when I got my PhD. I believe that in his own insecurities, he could no longer look better than me and be the focal person. I'm going to tell y'all a story about a narcissist. My best friend. My best friend. Not Annette. I grew up in Dallas, Texas, on the normal suburban street with houses in a row. But on the end of the block, there was a big lot, a double lot, and there was a big house built on it, a big house. In the house was a mom and a dad and two daughters. One of the daughters was extremely special needs. One of the daughters was a beautiful girl with long brown hair. Her name was Kay. When I ran into Kay in the 3rd grade or the 4th grade, whatever it was, we became best friends. I mean, never to be separated. Whenever my home life got a little bit crooked, as it could back in the day when my father was an alcoholic, I would run down to Kay's house and I would stay down there for days. I became a part of the family. I had a stocking over the fireplace at Christmas. I was included on the Dallas Cowboy season tickets. I went everywhere they went. I went. I had dishwashing night. I had to fold laundry. I was a part of the family, and for all practical purposes, I still am. However, I suddenly realized, so we breezed through grade school. We were cheerleaders together. We breezed through junior high. We breezed through high school when suddenly she made freshman cheerleader and I didn't. I was devastated. But I pulled up my straps and I thought, okay, great. I went over to her after tryouts and I gave her a hug and I said, well, I guess you're going to be the cheerleader in our duo here. And I supported her. I went to every game, blah, 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 blah. Then came junior varsity cheerleader tryouts and she did not make it. She did not make it. She was devastated. And I later found out that the reason she didn't make it was the other cheerleaders didn't like her. There was a girlfriend set, I guess two best friends named Sherry and Bridget that went to my high school. Sherry and Bridget were in the same group the same clique that I ran in, but there were so many of them in that group that did not like Kay. Did not like her. And they would come to me all the time and say, why are you best friends with Kay? You're so sweet and so cute and so funny and all this you're so bubbly and she is such a bitch. And I began to think to myself all the time, why did people see Kay like that? Well, to make a long story short, it came time to go to college. She went off to Southwest Texas State University. I went off to Texas Tech, right? And the bottom line is she got married before I did, and I was in her wedding, blah, 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 blah. Then it came time for me to get married, and things started getting a little strange between me and Kay. And I could not, for the life of me, figure it out. I couldn't figure it out at all. So time goes on. She has 2 daughters, and I have my daughter, and then I have my son. It was later reported and known throughout all of our group that she was so distraught over not having a son that her husband didn't even come to the hospital when her second daughter was born. I kid you not. Well, what do you think happened when I had my son? She didn't even come and see him. I was devastated. I became best friends, and I was always best friends with her mother. I still am to this very day. And the thing about it is I would call her all the time crying, why can't we be together? And she would say, Debbie, just leave her alone. I think she's a little upset about things. Well, then Victor and I, in the year whatever, Victor and I catapulted our business into the big leagues. I've told the story many times, it was when another company shut down and I got the idea to go in and write all the attorney business in Dallas, which we did. I sacked, I can't tell you how many attorney accounts in one 6-month period. I went from attorney to attorney to attorney and signed them up, and we were writing them night and day. Boom, 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 boom. Well, it was at that time we decided to move to Plano. We moved over there and we bought, quote unquote, our dream house. And swimming pool, the whole bit. Well, I guess this was just a little bit too much for her to handle because I've never spoke to her since. How about that? And nothing ever happened. There was never a fight. There was never a happening. She just went away. Never got over it. Never got over it. I miss her to this day. But I finally realized, and it took me years to finally realize this and to come to terms with it, that in fact she was fine as long as she was 2 steps ahead of me. When I was going to, I'll give you another example. When I was going to Texas Tech University, I went through Rush Week. Rush Week is where you go and visit all the, the houses of the sororities, and they talk to you. Well, at the end of the week, you get invitations. Kay had already pledged a sorority at Southwest Texas State University. It was a sorority at Texas Tech that I really wasn't that interested in pledging. Well, at the end of the week, I got 3 invitations, okay? I got an invitation to Pi Phi, I got an invitation to 80 Pi, and I got an invitation to Gamma Phi. Well, Kay was very insistent that I joined the sorority that she was in, and I did because I do believe now, looking back, and even at the time I knew, that the other 2 sororities were just a couple of cuts above the one that she was in. And that, to me, is exactly what we just read. And I think if some of you will think, you will realize that maybe that's happened in your life. Maybe it's your own brother, maybe it's your own sister. Somebody that was fine as long as they were the top dog in the deal. Where did Victor go? Hey, Vic! I've got an echo, I think. But then when the wheels changed, all of a sudden they didn't want to play anymore. And I think that's exactly what we just talked about. It says, there is also the success-oriented narcissist. They will be your friend and keep you close as long as you are useful. Once you do not have anything more to offer, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. It says right here. Another extreme narcissist stopped calling me when I got my PhD. I believe that in his insecurity, he could no longer look better than me and was the focal person. As a result, he felt threatened that I had a more powerful image than he did, and I think it is silly because I do not care about whether people have degrees to validate their intrinsic value as human beings. Very true. In this ministerial past, in my ministerial past, I have had several colleagues that I have considered to be like blood brothers. We had sworn honesty and loyalty to each other. Once I opened up my weaknesses to them and asked them to reciprocate, they looked for excuses to label me and reject me. The more I pressed about their lack of being forthcoming and failing at their own promise of commitment, the more vehement they became at avoiding disclosure of their warts to me. Of course, I already knew many of their flaws and already had no problem accepting them. Now it was their turn, and they completely shut down and put up the wall. How many of you have known people like that? You know, people that you sort of try to get close to, and like he says, you'll start opening up your weaknesses to them, and they don't. Oh, well, I don't do that. I don't do that. I've never done that. This is what genuine narcissists do. This is sad, but it happens all the time with individuals that are scared to go down the road to becoming whole and healthy. It's like going under the knife of a surgeon. When there is a legitimate organic threat, as with a malignant tumor, it can be hard to submit to the truth and then the treatment. This, however, is a door to better life. And did anybody understand what that meant? This is what genuine narcissists do. This is sad, but it happens all the time. I'm going to let my reader read that, because sometimes I don't read it right, and I don't care. I'm going to let the reader read it anyway. Okay, if I can get this mouse to work. I cannot stand this damn mouse. It doesn't work. Oh, I got it. Here we go.
This is what genuine narcissists do. This is sad, but it happens all the time with individuals that are scared to go down the road to becoming whole and healthy. It is like going under the knife of a surgeon. When there is a legitimate organic threat, as with a malignant tumor, it can be hard to submit to the truth and then the treatment. This, however, is a door to a better life.
Okay, I guess. I didn't really understand that. But to be perfectly honest with you, I'm going to let him read the next part too. All right? So be patient, little babies. We're going to try to get this mouse to work. I hate this mouse, Victor. Ugh. It's just not going to work. Oh, it did work. Okay, the second part is this.
Is there hope for an extreme narcissist living in an emotional and relational fort of isolation? Is a narcissist able to have a healthy life? Definitely. I've seen many extreme narcissists become extremely healthy in their emotional and relational life. The first step is to find competent and safe help that knows how to heal emotional traumas. Just because a counselor may have all kinds of credentials, it does not mean they are competent in dealing effectively with trauma issues. Because extreme narcissists tend to have an early history of emotional wounds, they are full of distrust. If they can get past this hurdle, then they can begin to find help to heal.
Alrighty. And last but not least, and then we're going to talk about it last but not least, Mr. Reader, read this please. I'm right here.
Second, extreme narcissists have to be willing to enter the realm of their feelings again. They have been the masters of covering and hiding, even to themselves. They now have to start uncovering painful wounds. They have taught themselves to stuff and disconnect their own feelings for years. Because of this, they tend to live inside their heads, in the realm of so-called reason. They are likely to live in a world of rational principles, laws, rules, which are all linear. This domain is a realm they feel they can control. It is devoid of feelings. The realm of the heart or feelings is very intimidating and unsafe to them because it is non-linear and there is very little control of the outcomes. If extreme narcissists can overcome these two hurdles, then there is much hope for them. They are on their road to healing.
Well, it makes you almost want to say, grow up and get the frick over it, you know? I mean, I'm sorry. I know that sounds horrible, but I just, you know, I have pity for few people. My mother taught me that sympathy was in the dictionary between shit and syphilis, okay? I don't give out sympathy very much. Now, empathy I have. I'm a very empathetic person. I can feel other people's feelings, and I hate that. How many times have you heard me cry on this show? But when it comes to somebody wanting my sympathy, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. Well, we all had a hard childhood. Some of us worse than others. Our parents didn't come with a guide. They did the best they could with what they had. Some of them did a real shitty job. Some of them were self-centered narcissists themselves. Some of them had no business raising children, and yet they did, and we were their victims. Such is in the case of me, which was talked about ad nauseum this weekend. But for those of you who don't know, I come from a very wonderful family, now hear me out, that saw nothing but tragedy from the day, it was almost the day they got married. And my mother was not well, but was not medicated, from what I know. But anyway, and I suffered at the hands of my mother. However, do I want sympathy for that? F you. No, I don't want your sympathy. I want your respect. Because I was raised with the belief that what my mother did, I was never a victim of physical harm. I was, but I don't really want to talk about things like that. Let's just say that the way I handled it was I adapted the belief that in the case of her and I, who was the sicko? Her. So why should I live my life messed up or narcissistic or drug addict-y or whatever, pity me, blah, 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 over something that somebody else did? I mean, I think it's sad where people excuse their behavior. Oh, boy, do I hear this. Well, I was abused as a child. You are using something to excuse your behavior. No, you're a prick because you're a prick. You're a bitch because you're a bitch. You make choices. Now, I understand that there are exceptions to every rule. Every rule. But I think as the majority goes, there are too many people in this country, in this culture, that act a certain way and use how somebody else treated them as their excuse. They'll say it straight to your face. Well, I act like this because I was abused as a child. Yes, I was abused by my father. No, you act like that because that's the way you choose to act. I once said to somebody that was abusing a girlfriend of mine, if I offered you $10,000 a day to treat her right, could you do it? Well, hell yeah. So you can do it. Well, yeah. So you choose not to. And he just kind of went, wah, wah. You know, it was my girlfriend's husband. He's very abusive to her. He's an asshole. Well, get a job and do this and do that. And he's just a prick, just a horrible person. And I sort of got caught in the middle of it one day. I mean, straight in the middle of it. And I turned to him and I said, no, she had said, he doesn't know any better. He wasn't raised right. She said, the way that woman raised those boys, they don't know how to treat women. I said, the hell they don't. And I turned to him and I said, do you treat women at work like this? Because he was a big boss guy at this corporation. Do you treat all the women at work like this? No, you don't, because you wouldn't be there. And then I posed that question to him. I said, let me ask you a question. If I offered you $10,000 a day to treat her right, could you do it? And he's all about money. Money, 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 money. And he said, yeah. So see, that's what I'm trying to say. I think that so many of us use abuse or tragedy as an excuse for our crappy ways of acting. I've even heard other people excuse other people's behavior. Well, she acts like that because she was abused. You know what I'm talking about. No, I don't. And I think that's where sometimes people like me kind of, quote unquote, stand out. Because we're different, and we are different. I want to be different. When people say to me that Victor hasn't ordered dinner yet, Victor, damn you, get off the phone. He's on the phone with somebody who won't order dinner. I'm starving. Well, you know, it's like the only people that I have sympathy for, or the only person that I have met through the internet yet that has an excuse to act like a complete asshole, was the guy I had on my show last night. Here he is, 3 years old, playing with his toys, and in the next 5 minutes his life is destroyed. But he doesn't walk around treating everybody like an asshole and saying, well, I was burned as a child, over 90% of my body. And yet half of these pricks out here do that. Well, I act this way because my father was an alcoholic. I act this way because my mother was a bitch. I act this way. No, you act that way because you are an asshole. The only sympathy I ever have is for a child with cancer. That tears me in two. Or a dog that's, whatever, being abused. I've often said I'd rather see a person ran over than a dog sometimes. People are so damning. Let's go to the board. It's been 1 hour and 20 minutes almost since I've been to the board, but let's see if anybody's there. Doink. Area code 310 is on the air with us. Welcome to the show, 310. The show about...
Hello.
Are you a narcissist? What?
You know, you know what? I probably have some self-centered thoughts. I do at times live in my head, and try to live by like logic and reason and all that other crap. But you know, I'd like to think that I think of other people's feelings, you know, and other people's concerns. I try to. Anyway.
As well as I don't know you, I would say yes, you do.
Yeah.
I would say that you're a good person. But you know, how long have you been listening?
You know, I've been listening. I think since around 8:40, 8:30. I think. What time did you start the show?
I don't remember. 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock? Was it 10? Yeah, 10. I believe.
10 o'clock. So that's 8 o'clock. So that's 8. So that's okay. So that's what time is it now?
It
is. I'm not near.
It's 9:15 your time.
Okay.
You know why?
Okay.
Well, because at the very beginning, I hit on some points that were like, oh my God, that's exactly what Mr. Midnight Movie would say. You said, like I said right here, at the core, narcissism is an egotistical preoccupation with their self, their personal preferences, their aspirations, their needs, their success. But we were talking about a certain person on Blog Talk Radio and you said right here that, or this said, to an extreme narcissist, people are things to be used. It usually starts with a significant emotional wound or a series of them culminating in a major trauma. Now, I don't know. You know, it basically says that when people are extreme narcissists, that we're all a little bit narcissistic, like you said. The extreme narcissist was hurt as a child and has built up these walls.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about that? Are you busy?
No, I'm not busy. Just.
Are you sure? Are you at work?
Yeah. No. I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, that certain host, that certain person who calls blog talk shows, certainly seems like a person. And I'm not educated enough to say, but as a layman, he certainly uses things for his narcissistic supply. And he's the only person that I've known on the show that has no diplomacy if he's disagreed with. He goes like almost cuckoo, like he's on a personal attack mode.
Well, I still contend that what I was telling you about earlier, that what shocked me is the way that this other person appeared a certain way and he didn't call him out on it. That was odd to me. You know what I'm talking about? Remember?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and they do different things, and they treat people, he certainly treats individuals differently. But, still, you remember him on the show before. Just how forceful.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really necessary? To me, whether it's narcissistic or not, I don't like it. I don't like that type of presentation.
Well,
I find it.
I think it was fun for a while. I think you laughed it off for a while, and then it begins to get just overly with you. And I'm speaking for you, of course, not myself. But I think it just gets redundant. Yeah. It gets abusive to a certain extent.
Yeah. And it's like, who needs that nonsense? It's like, who needs that nonsense? To me, I have a blog talk show for fun. If I make money or anything like that, that would be a bonus. But I have it for fun. I have it for conversation. And he's the only one that his behavior is such that he doesn't make it fun. And I don't, I learn a few things, but it's really not worth it with the behavior. For me, a person's intelligent. I don't care how intelligent a person is if they don't behave right.
Exactly.
That's really kind of nothing to me.
Exactly. And I think that Mr. Midnight Movie, by the way, this is the Mr. Midnight Movie of Blog Talk Radio. And he is speaking from a from the other side of it. He is speaking from the victim of what he is calling narcissistic behavior. And I think it ties into everything that we're talking about tonight. I think people are going to learn so much about this, about people in their own lives that maybe you don't even realize. Maybe your own brother or your own sister's been treating you like this all your life. And you've always, yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I had a friend as a kid who had a birthday party. And I forget what kind of cake it was. I think it was a form of cheesecake, but it was his favorite kind of cake. And he cut everybody a very small piece so he could have the rest for him.
I wonder if that falls into the category of narcissistic behavior because, see, I don't think it does. I mean, I may be wrong, but I think that is just selfish asshole behavior. I mean...
if your son had a birthday party, would you allow him to cut everyone very small pieces and save the rest for, save the rest for himself?
Hell no. Are you kidding me? You know what kind of parent I am. I crack the whip. I would say, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? No, I would not. In fact, I would probably give him a small piece and give everybody else a big piece if he even tried that.
Yeah.
Would you consider that... did you consider that narcissistic behavior?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know if it was narcissistic. Well, it is because it's only thinking of himself, and it's like he's having, a party for friends, and it's like you should have everyone want to enjoy that cake like everybody else, and it's like, you should. I guess the saying is you should want for your brother what you want for yourself, kind of thing. And when people don't follow that, it's like, and then he, as the kid grew older, he realized he always thought why nobody really liked him.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people, there's different people out there. They say there's basically 5 different people. There's the 5 different personality traits or names, whatever they have. They're like stoic and something like thelmic or some weird new. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, I believe that certain people are just what you would call good-natured, good people. And I've often thought that is the kind of person that I sense in you. Now, I've never met you, but I've sort of gotten to know your soul, the inside of you, your mind, by listening to you and talking to you for hours on end. And I believe that you can get to know somebody's soul that way. And the only thing left is just to meet the physical body. But I've often sensed in you a genuine person, a good person. And that's the kind of person I am. I don't know if people see me like that, but I could never, ever do something like that to somebody, ever. And I can't fathom people that do it. I'm like, God, oh my God, it's just horrible to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and, I get the feeling that certain people on Blog Talk, I think they don't have a life, and they don't have a life outside of it, or outside of the Internet, actually. And they build up a persona, and if that persona is challenged, they'll take it very personal and really kind of challenge it. I mean, for me, I've learned a lot not to build up such a persona, because I actually thought that I knew more than I did. And I had to really come to terms with how little I know. And now, I want to change direction in my show and have it more polite. And there's only one person on there who continues to call my show and not be polite.
True, I understand. Hang on. That's great. I wanted to talk to you about, see if you understand what I'm trying to say here. I think that the narcissistic personality type are more easily detected than just basically good people, because we just sort of fall through the cracks. I mean, we're just thought of as pushovers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of a deep subject, but I think that to identify somebody as a narcissistic is very easy, especially by somebody like you or I, somebody that's basically a good-hearted person. We can see them because we can feel the damage that they inflict, and we can see it, whereas other narcissistics may just see it as normal behavior. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, you know, many times, though, they built up a wall, and they know, to me, a lot of them, and this goes for people with mental illness as well, they're master manipulators, master controllers. I mean, you know, most people, they know that, you know, what this person is doing isn't correct, but they will, they know how to verbally justify, and this person knows how to verbally justify everything that he does very well.
By the time they're 40 years old, Brian, they have mastered their craft. They have learned how to do it. They've learned how to play the game, and they are masters at it. As evil as it is.
Some are, some are better masters than others, because they do too. I've noticed that people with mental illness and personality disorders, they seem to do it two ways. One through manipulation, but the other through force, like the force of their voice. You know.
Exactly.
You could hear in the forcefulness in their voice that I'm right. Don't you hear the forcefulness and the conviction of my voice?
Yes. And I think we both know two particular people that are very loud and very forceful on Blog Talk Radio that we are both victims of. And you are a victim of one, I am a victim of the other. And we don't need to say their names, but I'm sure that most people that know us know who we're talking about.
But and I've come across a few people like that. One had a mental illness, and the other, I don't know what they have, but you can tell just, and I don't have always the wherewithal to verbalize it, but I know that there's something incorrect and wrong about that. You almost know it in your heart.
Yeah, something just doesn't feel right. Something just, and I can feel it. I can feel it too. And sometimes people can hide this, and then it gets kicked off when something happens. Like in the case of another person that's no longer here, I think that what happened between he and I is something kicked that off with him, and suddenly his real self surfaced. And maybe sometimes people have been living with this narcissistic attitude for so long that they've even learned how to cover it up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With certain people, they learned how to, they learned how to mask it, and they live behind kind of a veil. And I think that's what happened between me and, I'll say it, Nature Boy. I think that maybe Nature Boy was like that the whole time he was with me, and then suddenly, for some unknown reason, unbeknownst to me, I still to this day do not know, because there was never a happening. There was never a fight or a thing, but something happened that triggered it in him, and he turned on me. And I think that maybe that was his true, his true self coming out.
To me, some of it, he always seemed like there was fun in there, but because for me, the other person who we're talking about, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of fun with him. He seems like he could get very vicious and very cruel.
Oh, yes. I think so, too, because there was a little episode last night when that happened a little bit on my show. Now, here's the funny thing. The person that I'm a victim of, which is a female, is not this way with you, and the person that you're more or less a victim of this deal is not that way with me. And
but he is very forceful, and try to disagree with him. Try to disagree with him and see what happens, and see how civil and how much of a gentleman he is, or how much of a human he is.
That's interesting. I think when we start our new study, if there is some part of it that I disagree with, I will disagree with him and see if that happens. I don't foresee that happening for some reason, but we'll see. I don't know.
You might, and like I said, some people, may not do that with you. I don't know, but to me, the manner in which he chooses And he claims that that's his presentation. But it's, you don't have to be that forceful. And I remember on my show, we did a show about the George Zimmerman trial. And Ruthie, whom I kind of disagree with, I could tell that she's kind of liberal. She says she's a moderate, but, she is a liberal. She was very much a lady. And she wanted Sarge, who made good points but was very forceful. She said, I'm not fighting you. We're here to get facts, and you're here to get facts. And Sarge even, he agreed. He said, you know what? I'll be more of a, kind of agreed that he would be more of a gentleman. And I don't think this person would do such. He would not agree to be a gentleman or agree to be, less abrasive. I think he would take that offensively and fight against that.
True. And I don't think that this person that comes at me with this strange behavior would ever admit. I think that this person is so far deep in what's going on that she could never turn around and say, well, maybe I have been a little bit wrong or whatever. But you know what I mean? Which is sad. Because, if the fight that she has with me keeps going and escalating, I don't know where it'll lead to. I mean, I've said many times, and I've even told you, and I think I've even told Mr. Jewish producer, that I'd love to lay this down with her and forget about it. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. Yeah. I really don't think that's ever going to happen, and it's sad. It's really sad.
And sometimes it's not always who's right, but what's right, and just I think most people, I would like to see the whole thing laid down, and I guess you can't pick the type of people that are going to listen to Blog Talk and the type of people that are going to be on there.
Well, and I think in the case of this person that's gone up against me, I think that she has actually built her entire persona on being against me, and that's who she is. I mean, people will hear her name and they will automatically connect it with the nemesis of Debbie or whatever. And I think that's who she's built her entire persona on, which is a crappy way to build your persona, but whatever. I just don't think it can ever be. I don't think it can ever be laid down. Do you think there's any changing somebody that is an adult?
You never know, and the thing is, because if you build your persona on hate and you hang around other people that hate, possibility, people who are hateful are not nice or easy to be around.
No, it's a negative force. It's a negative force, and
absolutely.
It's a negative feeling.
And cruel people do cruel things.
Well, I remember the other day I kind of caught you off guard when we were talking on the phone, I think, and I said, hurting people hurt people.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that earlier in that thing I was reading that said most narcissistic people in their adulthood were hurt as children, and they never, ever recovered from it, and so they built walls. And I know there are people that I have come across in life that will intentionally ruin a relationship with other people in fear of getting hurt by them.
Yeah. And I know, for me, one of the reasons I started one of my shows is I think, there's a collective that has built up walls, that has built up personas, and, that are falsified, and basically that end up not only hurting themselves but other people because of their persona, and it makes them at times difficult to be around. Does that make any sense?
No, it made absolute sense. I was listening to every word you said. Over on the Blog Talk Radio chat room, I need to go hit both chat rooms too, because they said on Spreaker it's a big deal over there to talk about the chat room. So I'll be over there in a minute, guys, if anybody's there. Somebody says that I think that the person that is Debbie's nemesis, so to speak, Her hatred has gone into the obsessive category, and I think that she will eventually turn to violence, which is a concern. It is a classic obsessive stalker case, and they rarely end well. What do you think about that?
I really hope that's not the case.
I really do too. I wonder if you think. Go ahead. Please talk. Please go ahead.
I mean, all kinds of hate. I mean, kind of enemy cases don't often end violently. Sometimes, I would always, I'm always prepared for violence, but I don't dwell on that too much. I'm always prepared that someone may try to hurt me, either physically or mentally, but I don't dwell on that much. I try not to put too much stock.
No, and who wants to live in fear? Who wants to live their life in fear? I mean, I don't.
But I live my life intelligently. I mean, fear, would you go, well, let me ask you this. Would you go into, would you walk in a mall saying justice for Zimmerman? I mean, whether you believed it or not, if someone gave you $50 to walk through a mall all day on a crowded day, saying justice for, having a sign that said justice for Zimmerman on your shirt, or maybe even having a sign, would you do that?
Would I do that? Yes, I'm the kind of person. I'm the kind of person that would do that.
Really? Would you not? Would it be intelligent?
I think it depends on what part of town you're in. Actually, I mean, would I go over to South Dallas? No. Are you kidding? I'd be killed.
Okay. There you go. That's fear. I mean, it's I call it intelligence. I call certain types of fear intelligence, because I know it's out there. You don't. If you know there are sharks in the water, you don't go in. So sometimes I do allow my fear, because my fear tells me that I can get hurt. Sometimes your fear can overwhelm you and keep you from getting success, but fear can also keep you from basically doing things that are stupid. But
fear can buckle you, fear can stifle you. But I'm going to tell you what Victor and I had to talk. Okay, Vic and I had a talk today, and he really came down hard on my ass. He was listening to my show from last night, and he said, "God damn it, if I hear you mention that goddamn name one more time, Deborah Ann, I swear to God, I'm going to jerk this fucking computer out of the wall." And that's exactly the way he put it. And he was serious, Brian. And very, very seldom does he pull rank on me. And he pulled rank on me hard. And I was going, "Oh my God, shut up! Oh my God!" I was like I was being like the kid, going, "What are you doing? You're freaking out." He goes, "Debbie, I'm fucking serious. If I hear it one more time." So there you go. And but it's like, I think, and I told him, I said, "Victor, I get my say." He goes, "All right, go ahead, baby." And I said, the only reason that I do talk about it is I want people out there to know that she's full of shit, that the things that she says are so wrong, and I don't want people believing. He goes, "You cannot control what people believe." And he said, if people are going to believe, let them believe what they're going to believe, and shut the fuck up. I mean, I think that my thing is a little bit different than yours. I don't think you've been attacked in real life. I don't think you've actually been personally attacked that hard as I have been, but I'm not trying to say I'm a worse case than you are, but I continually see.
No, you have. You have, but Victor is right in this case. You know what I mean? I don't. Like I said, I care about how people think to a degree, but I mean, I also got to believe. Look, if I'm not coming from a malicious and nasty place, I mean. Before, I did have knee-jerk reactions on some of my beliefs, and I probably did go too far, and I can't change what I said. I can't unsay what I said, but I can always start over. And for the most part, people should be forgiving, And I don't know if I believe in forgiveness the way you do, but Roy Masters said it best. You should forgive people no matter what they did. Just forgive them. And, people who you wrong, you should, for the most part, get their forgiveness. And if they don't forgive you, you just forgive their unforgiveness.
I loved when you were doing that the other night. That was so cute between you and Mr. Solution. You were going, I forgive your unforgiveness. Well, I took it one step further with Victor, and I said, you know what it all comes down to, what it all boils down to is I need to get it out there that I forgive her. And here's what I mean by that. Forgiveness in my world means me laying down the burden of what she's done to me, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to forgive her for anything and everything she's ever said or ever done, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Midnight Movie. I mean it too. I am going to forgive her for that, and I don't care what happens between now and then or after that or whatever. I'm doing it because I've got to lay it down. I've got to forget about it because it's wearing me out, and it's wearing Vic out, and I know it's wearing out people.
Forgive her unforgiveness?
Shut up. That sounds so fucking funny the way you sound like a little boy. Do you forgive her unforgiveness? I understand it, I think, and to understand is to forgive in a certain amount, in a certain way. So yes, I will forgive her unforgiveness because I want to understand where she's coming from and the pain that she was in before that she never got to deal with on a proper level. You know what I mean? And so I'm laying it down, and I'm laying down the fight. I'm laying down my part of it, whatever part I played in it, and I know I played a part in it. And I am, and I do not expect you to do that. But then again...
Well, you know what, I'll tell you this. I said some things that may be hurtful to Mr. Solution, and for that I'm sorry, and I want to go anew, but I certainly am not going to tolerate certain behavior. It's like, move on. I mean, and I have the right to change the format of my show and change what I want about my show, and demand certain types of conduct. And so do you.
Absolutely. And I just turned on this. You actually deal with it more on a day-to-day basis than I do. I haven't, frankly, spoke to this person since I was on your show that night, and it didn't go well at all, as you well know. But
no.
I do think that the position that you're taking with, and I know there's so many people out there that are listening on the other network that don't know what we're talking about. What we're talking about, I mean, I think you know what I'm talking about with my situation. What we're talking about with Mr. Midnight Movie is a person that calls into his show and is, well, you tell them. For the people that don't, because there are people.
Do you want me to name the person, or do you want me to just say this person?
I don't have a problem with it, but I would rather you say this person just out of respect. So.
Okay, because he isn't here to defend himself. He knows who he is, and those who've listened. I don't know if there's any listeners on my show who listen to your show, or vice versa. But this person has basically comes on and he insults me. And I guess it makes him feel better when he says it, because I don't know why he does it. And then his behavior is very abrasive, and he'll interrupt me, and it did anger me, but it shouldn't have, because I do have the mute button, and all I have to do is press that thing, and then I can finish what I'm saying. And I got really angry when, each time he interrupted me, and I would just, sometimes I would be at work, I'd be working and I'd be stewing about it. That son of a bitch, I'm going to cuss him out, and I'm going to say this, that, and this. And it's like, for me, I was like, why bother? I mean, this person is impolite, he's obnoxious, and I'll just put him on mute when he does what he does. And if he gets obnoxious, I'll just call him out on it. But I'm always waiting for him kind of to do something really rude and obnoxious. And then, like, when he does it, I may even overreact to it. But it's like, I'm willing to take it to new, but, to a degree I'm aware of who and what he is, and I'm on to him. And I feel like I'm kind of on to his behavior. And, you know, it's got to be kind of a lonely life to behave in that way, because I think that behavior doesn't get him what he wants in the end. And it certainly doesn't get it. It certainly probably does not get him any long-lasting relationships.
And I think in the very beginning it was funny, and I think we all laughed it off as maybe a joke, as maybe just a little, you know, an on-air persona that he brought to the table with you. But then it got serious, and it got to where it was on my show, it bled over onto my show, and it got to where anytime you opened your mouth, he was on the attack. And even sometimes when you didn't open your mouth, and even sometimes when you weren't present, it would start up with him. And it would be like, well, you know, 3M, he's ignorant about these sort of things. And I'd be like, wow, you know, and I started to notice that it became almost an obsession of sorts.
Yeah, he loves to point that out, and it's, you know, like I said, I guess it makes him feel better, and I guess he likes to put me on blast, but, you know, and I think about it, you know, nobody else does that. Nobody else I know on Blog Talk behaves in his manner.
And again,
and it's like,
did you have time? I bet you didn't have time to listen to any of the show that I did last night, did you? The first part of it, the second half?
No, unfortunately, I came home late, but I'll certainly listen to it.
Yeah, well, the the reason why, it's the very, very end of the BTR show, the very end, like the last, maybe 10 minutes or 12 to 15 minutes of it. But anyway, when I noticed, I was just sitting there, you know, run-of-the-mill, talking with the girls in the chat room, when I noticed sort of an ignorant, if you will, response coming from this other person, but yet he wasn't reacting to him the way he did with you.
Yeah, but it also, you know, because there are many different reasons perhaps to that. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm having a bit of an influence on him. He may not admit that, but, you know, maybe, you know, because I fought him so hard, and, you know, I think basically he's losing. I mean, I think his behavior, people see his behavior, and it's not easy being unliked.
Brian, I need to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The board is lit up like a Christmas tree. No. I think it could be. We have 4 Skype callers with their hands up. Let's start from the top. Area code Skype, you're on the air with Debbie and Mr. Midnight Movie.
What's up, Debbie? This is the Chad.
Hello, Chaddington, my love. Let me catch the other call. Stay with us. Oh, you sound so clear. You don't have any noise on you. Second, Skype caller number 2, you're on the air.
Hey, Debbie, I hope you're not siding against me, are you?
No, of course not.
Oh, Mr. Lucy's in the house. What's up, brother?
Now, how long have you been listening? Hello, Chad. How long have you been listening, Mr. Solutions? I have been saying the whole time.
I came on the tail end, and I hear you. It seems like you're siding with Brian.
Brian, am I? Tell him, Brian.
Hold on. I just want to make this point.
Okay.
Point is ridiculous. He's trying to talk about my personality in an indirect way. And that is absolutely crap. He has an obnoxious show that he cannot defend. Now, I won't call him to his show. Now, I've been the greatest draw for his lackadaisical, nonsensical show. And he is ignorant of the topics. No amount of trying to put the onus on me will shift that blame. Number one, I won't allow it, and the very facts themselves won't allow it. I ask him specific questions, like he'll read. For example, he read from, what's the guy's name?
Thomas
I forget his name right now. And I simply asked him to explain what he had read, and he couldn't do it. And he gets upset. He gets on this ridiculous trek about, he's obnoxious. I'm not obnoxious. His show is inflammatory. He may want to look that word up. It needs to incite to action.
Okay.
And so the thing of it is, he's ignorant about his subject matter. Simply point that out. Am I a bad guy because I do that?
Well,
can I defend myself?
Go ahead. Please, go ahead.
The manner in which you choose to do it. And I, you know what, for me, I'm changing the direction of my show. You know what, I mean, it's inflammatory to a lot of people, but my opinion is my guests should be polite and handle themselves in a certain manner. You don't need to yell. You don't need to shout. You know, if you make a point, you make a point.
You finish, you got to say when. I'm not looking at your fat face.
Okay. I am concluded, fat face.
Okay, there you go. Now, the point of it is you should stuff it with the pizza, by the way. That's perfectly okay. Price Club has some huge pizzas that I'm sure you would like. Look, this is the fact of the matter. He has an inflammatory subject. If he wants peace and calm, he should talk about classical music or canine training, something that doesn't deal with...
Hang on, I got some feedback. I think it's from Chad. Hold on.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was. It's deathly quiet now. Chad, be quiet. Mute yourself. I'm going to unmute you again, but try to be a little bit more quiet. It was real loud when you were on the air, okay? He goes, no, it's not. And right when I hear him, it went dead quiet. I love Chad. Okay,
Sorry about that, Debbie.
Go ahead.
If you listen to 3M, he's such a liar. He violates every rule that he establishes. He interrupts. He launches personal attacks because I ask him specific question, and you know he's the First Amendment superhero. By the way, I've increased his inheritance because he's been fairly decent. Not as much of a jerk as he has been. So I've increased it to $30K. But look here, this is the point. He is absolutely ignorant and depleted of any knowledge vis-a-vis his subjects. And he hates for that to be pointed out. I simply said that per the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, the government cannot be engaged in depriving the people of the prime directive that it is supposed to be the fiduciary insurer, and that is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When that happens, which it did, there's a problem. And what Brian does is he gets up on this bloviating pedestal, and when someone just knocks him off with a very simple question, he goes crying, "Not fair! You're not being calm and stoic," which is a bunch of crap. That's little girl crap. Answer the question. Now, what he could say is, "You're right." He is the narcissist. This
well,
is the epitome.
I think that your behavior at times with Brian borders on bullying. I think you bully Brian because, and I'm going to tell you why, Mr. Solution. And you know that I personally don't have a problem with you, okay? But I'm going to mediate a little bit here because I'm beginning to see, for example, last night on my show, you were talking with somebody that was obviously apparent to me and to Victor both when we re-listened to it. That person was not, how can I put this in a very polite way, was not engaged in the conversation at the level that you were. And yet you did not call him ignorant or anything like that. And I was very curious as to why.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, Debbie? What exactly are you referring to?
Last night on my show when you were talking to Patrick, okay?
Oh, okay.
Patrick was coming back at you with some pretty cuckoo type responses. I mean, you were talking about one thing and he would mention something else completely off the wall. And
right.
I didn't really hear any of this going to Patrick, any of this sort of anything. And I wonder why, and Victor is absolutely curious too as to why this happens with just Mr. Midnight Movie. Why is he so singled out with your anger or what? Not anger, but with your whatever this is.
Yeah, I handle him a little bit differently because the guy did not portray himself as the inflammatory, creating truth clown. That's the difference.
But I think that...
And he was asking a question. Brian doesn't ask questions. He makes dumb declarative statements.
Can you give an example?
He wants you to give an example.
Yeah, all he has to do is go back and listen to his tape. Virtually all the expressions that he makes are, and that's all inclusive of all.
You can't give an example, but I make a lot of dumb.
Okay, sure, I can give an example, but most of your quotes are not worthy of recall. But I can recall one where you were saying that people have different powers, different abilities, and so on and so forth, and you were quoting from Thomas Sowell. And what I said to you, in the context of the Constitution, the government cannot side with one group and against another to ensure a certain outcome. That's all I said to you, and I let the Constitution do the fighting, not me. But since you don't understand the Constitution, you missed that.
Okay.
Because all men are created and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Those are rights that government has a fiduciary responsibility to protect and never to violate. And if they do violate them, they have to pay for that. They have to reparate those violations. And you notice, now I will use technical language to address the situation, and notice his shift. Well, you're not being nice when you say that. And he won't address the issue that I've just laid out. What about that, Debbie?
May I please respond to that?
Well, I asked Debbie, but...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, because I wanted to... I was reading a quote from Thomas Sowell's The Economics of Race and Culture. I believe that's the name of his book. But he says that all cultures are not equal. Some are superior to others as far as economics are concerned. Some cultures have a large collective that do well, and some have that don't, because they basically exude certain behaviors amongst the collective and the individuals who live within those cultures. I don't know if I made any sense with that statement, but that's what the gist of Thomas Sowell's book was about.
Debbie, may I ask you a question? Had you finished, Brian?
Yes.
Debbie, did you understand what Brian just said?
No. Can you repeat that, Brian? Can you repeat it for me?
Okay.
Please.
Let me paraphrase. Okay. As I said before, I was reading a quote from Thomas Sowell's The Economics of Race and Culture. And he states that not all cultures are equal to each other. Some cultures do well in society, and some cultures don't do so well. And no matter what you give them, or no matter what discrimination is against them, cultures will succeed. And I was going to mention how the Chinese succeeded amongst all barriers that were against them because of their culture. That's all. I don't know if that made any sense either, but
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's as if you have just, let's say there were only 100 people on the earth, and 10 of them were Chinese, 10 of them were this, 10 of them were that. You're saying that there are certain cultures, some people call them races, some people call them whatever, colors, whatever.
That will rise to the top within any society, and the Chinese basically rose to the top of just about any society that they were in. And, like in America, basically, they dominated every field they were in. And they had the Chinese Exclusion Act, which limited immigration and limited the jobs that they could have. So, and the Chinese that were here couldn't afford to go back. So, and the limited fields that they were in was laundry, farm labor, and cooking. And every one of those fields, they dominated, just because of their internal culture of strive and
Okay, okay. And would you actually go so far as to say did he mention the black culture? Did he mention that?
Well, he did mention the black culture. He mentioned how, back in the day, at one time in the country, particularly in Philadelphia, 80% of the construction workers were black, and white construction workers got together and forced laws against them. They basically said that these employers could only hire people in unions, and those unions always restricted blacks, and they fundamentally hurt their ability to work.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? Where did that come back in? Where does that play up in y'all's history?
Well, it was. I mean,
I'm saying
it was a thing we're culturally.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't word that right, Mr. Midnight Movie. In between you and Mr. Solution, where did this issue come up in y'all's history that y'all had a problem with it or whatever happened? Was there like an
argument? You know what? The only thing that I had a problem with is as I was in the midst of talking, he interrupted me, which angered me. I certainly don't like when he insults me, and I think he over-dramatizes a bit my knowledge or lack thereof. I'll admit that I'm certainly not as knowledgeable as he is, but there are people who've come on who've been more knowledgeable than me, who've been far more polite.
Okay, you did a show on Blog Talk Radio on April 25th, which was, let's see, May, June, July, August. We're bordering on 4 months ago, and it says the most vile show. It's Mr. Midnight Movie and Mr. Solution, and I wanted to know, it was April 23rd. And I was wondering if we could just take a quick peek, because I haven't played any audio all night. You've got to give me that. Quick peek and listen to see how it went, shall we?
Very well.
Okay, just to see how it was going.
I'm a character as well. You're a character as well, okay?
Well, good and upstanding character who wouldn't get arrested for the use of illicit drugs. When I was in college, which you have never been, I didn't have a vehicle at the time, and I was carpooling with some guys who did have a vehicle, one in particular. And this guy smoked marijuana, and they passed it around. And because it was a kind of strong, cohesive atmosphere, I have never inhaled. And from that point on, I got my own car. I purchased a little cheap car. I told my parents about it. How is asking you for the truth vicious unless you're a liar? I simply asked you, she's a doper. She also smoked. Wait. Allow me to ask the question. Wasn't her arrest associated with her use of illegal drugs? Is negligent?
No.
Oh, have you been arrested for the illicit use of drugs or soliciting?
Well, it doesn't look like it's going too well on that show. I just hear so much anger, and I just hear so much name calling and anger in it, and I can't stand that. Ugh, I just hate that. You know?
Yeah. And the person they were talking about, I mean, I've grown to like that person on Blog Talk, and
okay, now let's talk about.
To me, it was really unnecessary.
Let's talk about personal attacks. Let's talk about personal attacks when it comes to somebody's personal life. I don't think you're a good mother. I don't think that you take care of your family. I don't think that you are a good whatever. What do you think about the people that have the edge over some of us that are hosts and have let some of our personal business get out there, and the other people that are callers that nobody knows anything about? We don't even know their name. And what do you think about when people use that quote-unquote power against us and start attacking us on a personal level when that's an unfair playing field because we don't have that. We don't know about their personal life, right?
Yeah, and also it's just like it's kind of it's just what's the purpose of that? I mean, someone reveals something about themselves, and then they go on the attack on that person. I mean, what's the purpose of that? And that was a very. Oh yeah. I really felt like I should not have continued that show because there was no purpose to it except to try to humiliate someone, and that's a very cruel thing to do.
Sorry.
I'm hearing no talk back.
I thought you were going to talk longer. I put a Triscuit in my mouth. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to keep going.
Okay. I didn't want to continue to bloviate on.
No.
Once I finish my statement, but yeah.
I think it is sad when people attack on a personal level because they have an advantage over us by knowing. For example, because I have 2 kids, people say that because I'm on here every night from the hours of 10 p.m. to whatever, that it appears to certain people that I'm ignoring my family, that I'm not out there. I mean, my family's in bed. That's why I choose 10 p.m. I know on the West Coast it's only 8 o'clock, but in Central Daylight Time, which is where I'm at, it's 10 o'clock. And therefore, I choose that time when they're all in bed or the day is done. I've been with them all day, and it's a good time for me to come in here and close the door and be by myself and play on Blog Talk Radio. That's what I do, but I get attacked. And in fact, if Mr. Solution will remember, that was the issue that he attacked me on, was why aren't you taking care of your family? Why are you on here every night? And I felt that he kind of attacked me too on that level. But is he still there? I'm over at iTunes.com. Is he still there? And if so, is there something that you wanted to say, Mr. Solution? Or, I mean, we're not double teaming you or anything like that. Well,
that's okay. You could actually triple team me. I sit very well with that. Well, look here. First of all, Debbie, you and I both know BT Blog Talk Radio is combat radio, and I just want to read the definition of the story just so we will have it on the record. May I?
The definition of what? And Brian, you've got some breathing noise. The definition of what?
I'll put myself on mute real quick. I'm sorry.
Okay, the definition.
Inflammatory.
Oh, okay.
We want to enter that into the record, okay?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. It says tending to arouse anger, hostility, passion, etc. I repeat, inflammatory. It's an adjective. Tending to arouse anger, hostility, passion, etc. So look, not only is he a moron, his subject is oxymoronic. You cannot have stoic calm when you're dealing with subject matter that is inherently inflammatory. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, but here's the thing I've often said, and I might be hated for saying this, but I think that there was a time in the history of their show that they saw that they could draw a huge crowd by being inflammatory and by allowing people to come on there and bloviate against me or bloviate against whatever. And I think that they've now realized that that's not getting them where they want to go. And I think that's why they've pulled back and are reassessing the situation. Am I right or am I wrong, or should I just shut up? But I do agree. I do agree that by calling it inflammatory talk, that you are tending to say we incite over here, and we don't mind people inciting. And I mean inciting, erupting a fight between Debbie and Bathtub Girl, or between whatever. We don't mind that. We want that. We relish that. And therefore,
they love those fights. By the way, Debbie, let me just say that they love those fights, but I don't. I don't like that kind of acrimony.
Oh, I can't stand it
because I like to deal with issues, and that's why I deal with issues.
Well, and that's why half the time I start crying because it gets to me. It really gets to me, and I can't.
Now, Debbie, I want to quote you, and I'm just using my old memory here. You said, and it hasn't been long ago. And we were talking about Brian and JP the Snake's show. And you said, the Serpent. And you said there's no purpose for that show because I was talking about the scat that they dealt with. And you put it very succinctly.
I stand by
that. And I quote.
I stand by that. I said, and I
there's
tell
no reason for that show.
There is nothing.
Close quote.
I said they don't serve the human... they don't serve the people in any way. They don't give anything of now. They have before, but they don't give anything of.
It didn't serve a purpose.
Exactly, and I did say that. I mean, I think even they both know that I said that. But and that's why again, I think that could be why what's going on is going on. I think that they're wanting to, like I said, sit back and reevaluate things a little bit and realize that maybe that wasn't the best way to take the show, the best course to go or whatever. Am I right, Brian?
And let me say this, if I may. I don't have a problem with the, I often say the three most under-discussed subjects in America are class, which is most important. Race is really ethnicity. There's only one race. And I won't buy into the stupidity that there are multiple races. There's only one race of humans, Homo sapiens. All right. And then, of course, gender. So race or ethnicity, class, and gender. Those are the three most under-discussed subjects. Now, my position is simply this, and I call in for kicks and fun, by the way. I called in because he invited callers. If he tells me I'm unwelcome, well, then I won't call into his show. Screw it.
Well, let me interrupt you and say, Brian.
I do enjoy calling in and jousting with him because, again, he is inflammatory, tending to arouse anger.
Okay, but let me interrupt you for 1 second, Mr. Solution, and ask Brian a question. Brian, when Mr. Solution first started calling into your show, or maybe Mr. Solution can also answer this, was he on the attack? Did he call in as an interested caller to see what was white guilt about? Was he asking questions? Was he polite, so to speak, when he first started calling in? At what point did this turn? Do you remember, or what?
You know what? I certainly don't remember. I remember the first time he called in, and he called Larry Elder, and he called both Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell fucking parasites. And for me, he's the only one that gets inflamed. I want, for me, and I'll control my show the way I see fit. And like I said, if I get interrupted or I feel the show isn't going the way it is, I'll mute anybody who disobeys my rules. My rule is it is inflammatory to a lot of people, but if you can't control yourself, then you might want to call into another show.
Well, you better never mute me.
Well, and the thing about it is, Mr. Solution, okay. Mr. Solution, you said to Brian earlier, and I quote, most of your quotes are not worth recalling. I mean, that's a little bit harsh, don't you think, for somebody that's, basically a friend on the internet? Wouldn't you think that's a little bit harsh? I mean, most of your quotes are not...
No. I think that's totally appropriate because, again, I'm operating under the rubric of inflammatory. So I call in. I'm not as inflamed as I could be, okay, but I am aroused, and my passion is certainly aroused at the... And now I can answer that question that you asked just a moment ago. Yeah, I would call in and ask him questions that he could never answer. And that's how I arrived at the conclusion that he was a moron about his own subject matter. Because I once asked him to define white, to define guilt, and he could define neither. That was the name of his original show, No White Guilt. I assumed he knew what no was, but he couldn't define white or guilt.
There must be some...
Hello, are you there?
I'm here. There must be... I was just letting you talk. There must be something about Mr. Midnight Movie that is just drives at you, because you continue the relationship rather than just washing your hands of it and saying he's an idiot and I can't deal with him. So I think there's something there that's worth either, because I don't, maybe it's me just talking, but I don't think that it's going to continue much on the pattern that it is. And I was just, sort of wondering, I mean, I didn't know you were going to call in, but I was just wondering, is there any way that this can turn around or whatever? I mean, I'm not trying
to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, look, he should stop. He should get rid of his show and save his money. But I know he won't. But in the interim, he could be more informed about what he says. He could know a little bit more about history. He could know a little bit more about the subject matter. Now, that's just me speaking. Because no one challenges him. And I'm going to say this about you too, Debbie. You don't challenge him on the bullshit he spews, the inflammatory bullshit that he spews. He will utter a statement, and everybody will just sit there and act as if he has said something profound. And all of you, I know you're a smart lady. I listen to you. I would never call you what I call Brian. Never. Because I would know it's not true. And you know it's not true.
Well, I think I think we have a different relationship.
You're not telling me that when you hear Brian respond to me, that you don't think ignorant or that he could have prepared.
I do.
That he could have prepared himself.
Okay, you're right.
A little bit.
No. You're right. You're right, and I do. And I do think, however, I do believe that you are 100% correct that Brian could come to the table, and I've seen people in the chat room say this before, that Brian gets hammered and gets steamrolled because of his lack of facts. And I think that if he would do a little bit more homework, I know he's busy. He's got his job and he's got his personal life and he's got things going on. If he would spend a couple of hours or an hour with a book, even an online book, reading some things and getting his, highlighting some things or whatever. But I mean, frankly, I like physical books better because I can highlight and bookmark and dog ear. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, but I do think that at this point and in the past, he feels so attacked that even if he tries to speak, he gets rushed and when he's on with me, he's very relaxed. He doesn't stutter. He doesn't do any of that. And I think that at this point, he feels so, like I said, under the attack that he doesn't perform well. But no, and I want to say one more thing. The relationship that I have with him really isn't based on the white guilt sort of a thing. It's just more or less sort of a friendship type of a situation. So, but there you go. Is that a good answer? Do y'all understand that, or does that?
Right, that's fine. Let me ask you this, Debbie. When do you think you may? And I know you read Larry Elder's book, which Brian he instigated that. He brought it up, and you and I have talked about it sort of peripherally. But since you read it, I would love. First of all, when are you going to do that? Because you said you would. So when do you plan to discuss Larry Elder's autobiography?
I'm waiting. Well, I sent out, I just recently, last week I had on my board, I said, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to do this. And I sent out emails to several people of some. I've heard back from the people in Austin, and they are going to get back with me. I have not yet heard back from Larry Elder's people, although I don't think I wrote. What I did is I just went to his website and I just did a contact us. I need to actually go and get a hold of his media person, his publicist, and see if I can get him booked on the show to discuss his book. I can do that anytime. And as far as what's coming up on September the 1st, I've also sent out 3 emails on that, and I haven't even checked my email today. But no, and where were you going with that? Meaning? Well,
no, it's an in itself, because I think, number one, Brian often holds him up as some sort of icon. I'm an iconoclast, by the way. But at any rate, and since you actually got the book and read it, and had promised to have an open discussion on it. I just think as far as the continuing education of BTR, you know, it would just be a good thing to do. And what sparked my remembrance of it was just our conversation right now. And I said, hey, because I think the guy is a pussy. I think he violated every rule that he attempts to promulgate or disseminate. I think he was a disobedient child. I think his father was an icon, as it were. His father was an excellent expression of what any man could be of any ethnicity. He was a business owner, and I know a little bit about business because a business is very difficult to create and sustain. His father did that for a protracted period of time. And for Larry Elder to break off communication, I feel guilty if I don't contact my parents sometimes in a day. I mean, just because of what they did for me. Literally, I feel this overwhelming guilt until I get my ass in gear and at least call them and occasionally visit, pay a visit. But now for Larry Elder to break off communication for something between 10 and 15 years, I just think that's unconscionable. What about you?
I'll say it straight to his face. I think it is probably one of the worst crimes of humanity to do that to a parent. I mean, because I am a parent, and we as parents, we do make mistakes. And I'm sure there may have been times in Larry's life when he thought his father went overboard, but to do something like that, I find that, just like what you said, incorrigible. I think it's horrible, and I'll say that to his face. And
but isn't that between his father and him?
No, he made it public.
It wasn't, but he's admitted that.
Well, he wrote a book about it, though, Brian. I mean, and I think that when you do something like that, I mean, there are people out there, like, for example, you may have a situation in your life that you don't bring to the surface. That I don't bring to the surface. He brought that to the surface. Therefore, he opens that up for public. Help me out here. You know how I'm bad with words.
I don't want to say ridicule, but yeah.
Yeah,
scrutiny.
See, exactly.
And getting back. Yeah. Getting back to Mr. Solution, I'll admit that in the past I was arrogant and foolish, and I guess Mr. Solution has humbled me to that fact. But, I still say the manner in which he chooses to go about a discussion turns a discussion into an argument. And my belief is on inflammatory talk is that, people who listen to it may think it's inflammatory, but what I want to get is people who have certain feelings and certain thoughts that they haven't been able to express or haven't been able to or haven't even thought about before. And I like to get guests who are intelligent, but who are also polite. It does no good for somebody to call names and yell and shout.
Okay, may I say when you're finished there, fat face, because I'm not looking at you. I don't want you to
I am included, Fat Albert.
I don't want you to accuse me of talking over you.
No. Were you the smart one in Fat Albert's gang, by the way? I think you were.
Okay, let me say this. If you notice Brian's conversation, and I do, just with cursory scrutiny, he is very negative. He launches attacks. What I initially attacked was his subject matter, not him. But he told everything that we know about him. He hates his job. He constantly complains about his health issues, but he doesn't stop stuffing his face with pizza 5 to 6 times a day. And he's gluttonous. I mean, I didn't know that until he shared it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm eating pizza. I'm eating pizza right now.
Dorm-type setting, and I think
what's that got to do with anything?
You just cut me off. You want to acknowledge that?
I did cut you off because no, I don't want to acknowledge it, not to you.
Well, I think that we can cut each other off. I don't think that anybody is above getting cut off. I mean, I think that there are times when everybody cuts everybody off, and I don't think that's a crime that should be, I mean, I'm eating pizza right now. That's what I was going to say. I'm eating pizza right now. But just because somebody is heavy, that doesn't mean, maybe in your eyes, Mr. Solution, that means that they are an ignorant person or something. I guess I can see how some people would think that. Maybe.
Oh, no. I'm not relating the two, Debbie. His ignorance is apart from his being heavy. But his heaviness, your core person, what's the first thing you see about a person? Their appearance. So, and what's the first thing you think about a person of great girth? That they do not have control of their appetite, that they're gluttonous. And that's not good. It's his health problem. It's his diabetes. And he talks about his medical conditions over the air. No one asked him, did he have diabetes? He talked about that. And we know that overweightedness is related to both hypertension and diabetes. So the thing of it is, my position is this. It is important for a person to get themselves in order before they try to order anything else and just do a minimum job. He hasn't done that. He comes out, wobbling and undulating and attempting to talk about, the society's issues. And all I do is just look at him. And I'm like, you're in no condition to talk about society. Get your own ass in shape. And we've given him suggestions. Goofy Bone has given him suggestions. You have over the past. Even BTG. Is that right? Yeah. Bathtub Girl. And I don't hate Brian. I like Brian. And, but he opens the door for inflammatory talk. And when someone enters that door, then he cries foul. I think that's contradictory.
Okay, let's say, for example, Mr. Talk. Maybe we don't know this, but maybe Mr. Talk weighs 400 pounds. Would you ever think of considering him to be less than worthy of being able to talk about any subject because he's overweight?
Well, let me do this, Debbie. Let me reapproach it. You recall the discussion I had with the gentleman last night on your radio show, and I gave a what I call honor system criteria for people offering advice. Have all their monthly obligations current, 1 year and that can be net because that's what you live on. 1 year's of net salary, and of course having had an elimination in the last 12 hours. And that way you aren't distracted by your money obligations, and you aren't toxic as a result of backed up waste. So that's my criteria really for anyone offering advice. What do you think?
I disagree.
My mouth is full of pizza. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't ask you. I was asking Debbie. But,
I know, but you've attacked me throughout. And by the way,
let Debbie comment on it first, and then you go if you don't mind.
Okay.
I defer. I'll go ahead and defer to Brian because I'm going to remember what I have to say. Go ahead, Brian. I'm going to remember mine. Go ahead.
Okay. By the way, Chad has Skyped me in thing 6, 7, 8 instances that he's on. I do this show for fun. And, I consider myself Mr. Midnight Movie. Sometimes I bring a little bit of Brian in there. But when we're discussing an issue, I don't find any the need to bring in much of my personal life. It's just, you're the only one that does it. And it's like, what's I guess you're trying to prove a point. To me, it just proves what a cruel person you are. And, to bring in people's personal life the way you do, you're trying to humiliate individuals, and it's a very cruel thing. And I find you a rather cruel, distasteful person. And, you come with knowledge. Wait, I'm not finished. You come with knowledge, and okay, I'll tell you when I'm concluded. Okay, I'll say I'm concluded when I'm concluded, okay? The knowledge you come with is really eclipsed by your abrasive and your personal attacking behavior. It's really very off-putting. And regardless of the subject matter, people can be polite. Okay? In my opinion, if you can't be polite and you have to resort to personal attacks, I guess I don't watch it on my show. You can call Debbie's show if you want to continue to do that, and call people pussies and the like. I don't think that the wording that you use is really necessary, and you don't do it in a diplomatic manner. You're very vicious and you're very cruel. Okay. I'm concluded.
Okay, now I will just answer that by saying I don't give a damn what you think.
Okay, let's go and see what Chad, I think Chad has something he's wanted to throw in here. I just don't like a lot of noise on the show when you call in. Not you specifically. We do have a Skype caller on the board. Skype caller, you've been holding for 17 minutes and 39 seconds. What says you, as Brian would say? Skype caller, we can hear you. Excuse me, it's area code 661.
Oh, that's me. That's my name is Brian also, so.
Hi, Brian. Welcome to the show. I'm going to unmute Chad. Chad, speak up when you want, and I'm going to go back on mute. Go ahead, Brian.
What's up, Brian? This is Chad. This is my man's Brian back on. You know, and it's amazing how we're doing this arguing, but we need to talk about the NDAA and the radiation. You know, and I believe they were talking about Russian TV about the radiation getting into the water and into our water.
Well,
you
Chad,
know,
Chad. If it's all the same to you, we're going to stay on the topic that we're on. But you're welcome to jump in. We're trying to build a bridge here tonight between two people that I think is going south very, very fast. Two people that mean a lot to me, and.
Right, but I don't think it's ever going to get better, Debbie. I think it's never going to get better. But,
it's not going to get any better until somebody takes the effort to make it better. And then if it's not, then they need to wash their hands of each other and stop, because I think that it's you know, it just needs to be done. So I appreciate what you want to do, and I adore you. But on the other hand, I think we'll stick to guys. Am I right here, or do y'all want to talk about Russia and the NDAA?
Yeah, Debbie, let me say now, Monkey Shoes is a prolific idiot in the chat room. But, you know, even an idiot, like they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. So let me quote, if you can believe it, Monkey Shoes. He says, and in MMM's defense, presumably that's Brian, he works a crappy job. Now, this is what Monkey Shoes says about it. He works a crappy job. Can anyone interpret crappy?
I would say your behavior, but that's me.
Okay, now that was a personal attack. I want to absorb that.
Okay. Well, no, it was
You've been attacking him for the last 30, 40 minutes, dude.
I'm absorbing the personal attack, but what we're saying is Monkey Shoes says that Brian works a crappy job. And where do you think Monkey Shoes, assuming that's correct, where did Monkey Shoes get that information?
Well, if we're going to put credence into what Monkey Shoes says that Mr. Solution relishes in his bullying.
Well, no. Listen, Monkey Shoes, like I say, a broken clock is right twice a day.
There you go. He's a man.
He also... So you're agreeing with him because he's bashing Mr. Minimum. That's the reason that you're agreeing with him.
No. What I'm saying is, I know that 3M works a crappy job. He has already said it.
Wow.
So information.
So what's that guy? You know what? So you
interrupt. Let me finish my point. All the information that I or anyone else regurgitates to you is information that you've already shared abundantly. Mm-hmm. And I've even encouraged you to get a better job. In fact, one time I quote myself as saying, Brian, I would like to point out to you how you can take your supervisor's job. Put in an application, get some more education, actually go to a college instead of just going to the student union and eating, go to class, get a degree,
really,
and then apply for a better job.
Yes.
See, okay. Are you?
Wait a minute, what's wrong with that? Is that bad?
Don't eat too much. Don't eat really. The solution.
Okay, look. Let me. This is turned into nonsense. Because if no one can give him advice...
Hang on, everybody. Hang on. Slow down. Okay, I'm going to mute.
Who asked you to give me unsolicited advice?
Did I ask you for advice? Your advice is unsolicited.
You know what?
Also.
Well, you know what? Who gave me advice? You're giving me forceful, unsolicited advice.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, in a boxing match, they ring the bell and they say, "Everybody go to their corner." All right, everybody go to the corner. Everybody calm down. I'm going to play the first thing I see for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We're going to be right back. Everybody calm down.
I was born and raised down in Alabama on a farm way back up in the woods. I was so ragged that folks used to call me Patches. Papa used to tease me about it, cause deep down inside he was hurt because he'd done all he could. My papa was a great old man. I can see him with a shovel in his hand. See, education he never had. He did wonders when the times got bad. The little money from the crops he raised barely pays the bills we made. Oh, life that kicked him down to the ground. When he tried to get up, life was kicking back down. One day, Papa called me to his dying bed, put his hands on my shoulders and his tears he said, Patches, I'm depending on you, son. You pulled the family through. My son, it's all left up to you. 2 days later, Papa passed away. I became a man that day. So I told Mama I was going to quit school, but she said that was Daddy's strictest rule. So every morning before I went to school, I fed the chickens and I chopped wood too. Sometimes I felt that I couldn't go on. I wanted to leave, just run away from home. But I would remember what my daddy said, with tears in his eyes on his dying bed. He said, Patches, I'm depending on you, son. I tried to do my best. It's up to you to do the rest. Then one day a strong rain came and washed all the crops away. And at the age of 13, I thought I was carrying the weight of the whole world on my shoulders. And you know, Mama knew what I was going through, cause every day I had to work the field, cause that's the only way we got our meals. See, I was the oldest of the family, and everybody else depended on me. Every night I heard my mama pray, Lord, give him strength to make another day. So years have passed and all the kids were grown. The angels took Mama to a brand new home. Lord knows, people, I shed his tears, but my daddy's voice helped me through the years. Saying, Patches, I'm depending on you, son. The walls found me through. My son, it's all left up to you. Lord, hear Papa's voice say, Patches, I'm depending on you, son. I've tried to do my best. It's up to you to do the rest. I can feel your Papa when I say, Patches, I'm depending on you, son.
All right, and we're back, and Patches was played because, if you remember, the last thing I played was Phil Hendry. So we were in the section of the P's. Victor's opening up a root beer bottle. Everybody calm down. I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to do that because I just thought everybody was getting a little bit crazy there for a second. And I hope everybody calm down, listen to that beautiful song. Wonderful song. I'm going to unmute everybody else now. Let's go back to where we were. Now, guys, I want to ask you both a question. Should I unmute Chad and his buddy?
Why not?
Victor says no. Not because he doesn't love Chad. It's just that they weren't really a part of this discussion. What do y'all think? Yes or no?
I don't care. I mean, I like Chad.
There's not a question of liking Chad. I love Chad, but I don't think they... Well, I'll unmute him, and if y'all want to mute it, just let me know. Okay, go ahead. Everybody's unmute. Go.
I'm here. Yes. just want to say, as for me, and I've said this before, I think that Mr. Solution, he brings up things to try to humiliate and try to, God, I'm hearing a lot of background noise.
I had to mute Chad. That's just too loud. As much as I love him, it's just ridiculously loud. Chad, listen to the playback on the archive and you'll hear what's going on. It's just like, isn't it, Brian?
Yes, it is. And like I said, my problem isn't with, actually my problem is sometimes with what he says. It's to me unnecessarily cruel. And as far as guilt is concerned, I mean, I do remember that conversation, and I gave him, kind of a layman's term. I don't have a dictionary with me or a dictionary in my brain, but basically he's trying to set me up to make him feel good. And that's what it feels like. It feels, and even his advice basically is there to make him feel good. It does no good, and he doesn't even realize that. He just, brings up things that are unnecessary, and they did inflame me in the past. But I just kind of realized who and what he is. I mean, he's just a very self-absorbed, self-obsessed person who has no tact and who doesn't care what other people think. And his behavior is an example of that. I'm concluded.
Well, look, and then I'm done with this. It's not that I don't care what other people think. Obviously I do. I don't care what you think. Look, the point here is, now I'm reading this sociopath, Monkey Shoes, which is nothing but a computer program. Monkey Shoes says MMM is a bit chunky. He's hardly morbidly obese. Now, I used to monitor Brian's chat room, as I generally do on shows that I appear on, the few that I appear on. And there was not a show where a number of people in Brian's chat room didn't refer to the host as being stupid. I mean, I would just see this repeatedly, and I was thinking, and at one point I asked Brian, I said, Brian, do you see this in your chat room? Now, you can answer this, Brian. Do you agree that people, other than myself, I've never been in your chat room, I just view it, that they come to the conclusion that you are stupid, and they write it in your chat room? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, but it doesn't, I mean, the written word doesn't bother me as your words do, because it's continual. And like I said, I think I do believe that you do probably have a pattern of basically off-putting behavior. And I think with a lot of people, I don't think you have probably any friends whatsoever outside of Blog Talk. And I think people that get to know you are probably off-put by your behavior, not just me.
Okay, now since that's a personal attack, now other than drug users, what kind of friends do you really have? I have friends at work. Excuse me, drug users and prostitutes.
And prostitutes, yes, drug users and prostitutes. I have, I can get along with just about anybody and everybody. I have friends of all walks, all sexes, all sexual orientations. And I enjoy a lot of people's company. I don't think, even in my personal life, I've ever been attacked in quite the way that you've attacked me. It's quite new. I've never even seen it done the way others do it. And I've watched debates over the years. I've never seen, I've never heard of anybody attacking quite the way you do. You do things offensively in a very creative and cruel manner, and it's you take the cake as far as being manipulative and
okay, all right, Brian. What do you want me to do to make friends with you? You cried enough. What do you want?
Okay.
You want me
there you go. There we go.
You want me to erase the inflammatory part of your show, and I'll just listen to you bloviate. Is that okay?
If you want to, you can do whatever you want. And
wait a minute. I'm asking you not for a smart-ass answer, but for a direct answer. I will abate and not call your show so you won't have to come crying to Debbie, and I'll just listen to you. Is that a fair deal?
Are you concluded?
That was a question.
He doesn't come crying to me. I want to say that. I just feel like I needed to say. I don't think he comes crying to me. I just think that, he sits back and lets me get attacked by Bathtub Girl and lets her bloviate over me knowing how loud that woman is. And I just think that there's an issue here of two people that I care a lot about. Because I don't see this side of Mr. Solutions at any time. I did one time, but that's so long ago. I'm just a forgetting person. It didn't even exist as far as I'm concerned. But I would like to see some resolution here. I don't expect people to sing Kumbaya, but still, and I'm not doing this on purpose. I didn't even know you were going to call in, to be honest with you. And it's like I say.
You're intuitive.
I am intuitive. I'm highly intuitive.
There you go.
It's just like I said. I wasn't lying when I said I hate. I just hate it, and I don't think anybody hates each other, but I just can't stand it.
But again, Debbie, this is your answer right here. Inflammatory, tending to arouse anger, hostility, passion. And then it actually has another comma, and it says, etc., ETC abbreviation. Inflammatory speeches is the example that is cited. And actually...
And actually what?
Hello?
Did he drop?
Yeah, he did drop. And that's unfortunate.
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry. You know what? Because you did your voice dropped. We stopped hearing you. So continue.
Inflammatory. Inflammatory.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. Yes. So anyway, look, I have fun with Brian. I told him that before. I think his show, and I will quote you, Debbie, there's no purpose for it. And I haven't seen a purpose heretofore, even though he supposedly changed formats. And so anyway, I can just listen to his show. It's not like but if he's crying about it, if it really hurts him to his soul, then of course I won't challenge him, and I'll just let him go on bloviating. How about that?
That's fine. And you can call in, like I said. I'm going to have rules on my show, and I should probably have it, because it's still going to be called inflammatory talk. But my opinion is, you shouldn't call inflamed. You should control yourself. And a person should be able to be polite and stick to the topic at hand. I think it deviates to the topic to attack the host. And it's done in a very malicious and cruel manner. And, like I said, you bring up things to humiliate and be cruel, and it makes you seem like a very cruel person. I'm concluded.
Debbie, I'm done with that guy. I think, and you notice, I notice no one defends me when he attacks me, so, okay, there you go. But I'm noticing this guy in the chat room. This is JP, the serpent. He's at his old chat room rat. Negative comments. So, what do we say about someone like JP who hangs out in the chat room?
It's funny that you mention that. It's so funny that you bring that up, because he just happens to be on my shit list right now because of his little Twitter account, and he is... were you drunk last night, Jewish producer, or what was wrong with you? You were just... He viciously attacked me on Twitter today, and I was going, what is going on? Did I dream that? Did I dream it? Maybe I dreamed it because I took a nap today. But it was horrible. Some of the comments that he was making, just and retweeting things about... I was going, what is going on? So, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if he's got a split. He's not saying anything. I wonder if he has a split personality or something. I don't know. But
well, he's a sick puppy. You know, there's an old adage that says it's better to be silent and thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. And I think he does that quite a bit. It's not like he's smarter than anybody. He pushes a certain person to go forward and just be filleted.
Not true. Not true.
And he sits back and laughs. Although he sides with me on a number of issues, by the way. He'll tell 3M, and I got to say this gingerly, otherwise I'll be condemned. He tells him a lot of times that his questions to me make no sense. And, of course, I guess when JP tells him something makes no sense, he understands it better. But, yeah, JP is a warrior chat room rat, and he says very vicious things in the chat room, but he's a lot like Monkey Shoes, the cyber robot non-existent entity. And he won't get on the phone. Tell him to get his ass on the phone and speak up.
JP, please get on the phone. And he doesn't attack me personally. He can say something doesn't make sense. He can even say that's nonsense. But he attacks the issue, you know, usually not me. And I know JP personally. So, you know, he knows my boundaries, and I pretty much know his. So with you, you know, you go, and like I said, in my opinion, you do things that really do cross boundaries of decent conduct. I just believe that. That's, you know.
I thought we had ended this. Why do you keep going on? I've already said I'm done. I'm not going to comment. Why don't you end it? Can you stop?
God, you are, oof, jeez, so angry. I mean, just so forceful.
Okay, can I have you stop? That's all I'm asking. You want me to stop. I'm asking you to stop. How about that?
Oof.
Oof. Debbie, are you here? Debbie is the referee.
I'm here.
Debbie is the arbiter.
I will stop. I will stop, but it's really,
are you there?
Oof.
I'm here.
Angry. The anger is unbelievable.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Like, is it necessary?
Can y'all not hear
Debbie,
me?
now you notice I said that I would cease and desist, and I asked him to do the same. Now, is that fair or is that fair?
Well, I think what you're taking as an insult is just Brian being honest. I don't think he really attacks on a personal level because he doesn't know you on a personal level. Again, I don't have these problems with Mr. Solution. I'm acting only in the role of a mediator. I mean, I settled my issues with him a long time ago, and we now have a mutual sense of respect towards each other. I think we always did, but just too many people got involved. But then again, I'm steering it towards me. But I think he feels like you attack a little bit more than he does. That's all. I will say that.
I would love for Jewish Producer to call in with some stoic calm and perhaps, because I'm looking at his Twitter right now and I don't see anything that he said. So
I must have dreamed it. I must have dreamed it. I must have dreamed it. My apologies. I must have dreamed it. I must have dreamed it. What did I do? Why did I think that?
Jesus, what were you drinking? Was that pizza that good?
Victor, what? What did you say? My woman's dreaming of another man. He said he's joking. I think it was Apocalypse on Skype. I think it was Apocalypse. Never mind. Totally forget what I said a minute ago. I'm sorry, Jewish Producer.
I'm
sorry.
Debbie.
What?
So calm, Debbie.
I'm calm.
But I would love for JP to defend his snake self. He's you know, just I think he's come from the synagogue of Satan, and for him to call in and defend himself against his snakeness. I've been demanded by Mr. Solution to drop the issue. He's tapped out. I won the debate, and I'm here standing victoriously here with my hands raised in the air. I'm the champion. Apollo Creed is down. Now I want to see if JP could defend himself as well as I did. I'm back. Okay. But I would like to hear that.
When I unmuted Chad, he goes, "I'm back." And so is your buddy. So, by the way, anyway, your other guy that's on Skype.
Brian was good, yo.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm just listening in, trying to be quiet and let it all go through.
Yeah, let it all go through, and then we can talk about what we want to talk about. Go ahead, Brian. Go to Brian.
Well, JP is telling me there's only 10 minutes left. And, I've trained for this moment a long time. He had me up against the ropes. We're doing like a 1-year fight. He had me up against the ropes. The crowd was frightened. That the crowd was frightened. It was like a Rocky movie, And now the belt. I'm wearing the belt, the Blog Talk Heavyweight Champion, Bloviator belt. And,
now you can stop. You stop that right now.
You
stop that. Stop. That's ugly. You know that's being ugly. That's stop. Victor said stop being. Victor said stop being that way.
Can you play Rocky, please?
I actually have a question for Debbie. Sorry to interrupt. I mean, you won your fight this minute, but I really have a question for Debbie. Yeah, Debbie. When there were attacks against me, I don't hold a grudge or anything, but I would protect you because you're my sister, and, I love you, I mean, we haven't really met in person, but I still love you, but, when you, you didn't really defend Brian tonight, and, like, if Bathtub Girl was going against you, I would mute her, or just see a cat fight, I would let you two fight it out, and battle it out a little bit. But if she was really hurting you, I would probably mute her. And what I'm trying to ask is, are you going to protect me in case someone attacks me? Or
Okay, yes, of course I will. Of course I will.
Are you sure, Debbie?
Can Mr. Solution call me Rocky from now on?
Oh, my God. Brian.
You won this night. I'm talking to Debbie, but seriously, Debbie.
Victor, stop it. I'm listening to Chad.
I hope
He's
you will
asking me
protect me.
I will. Of course I will defend you.
I really think you as a sister, man.
Of course I will defend you. And I am not a prostitute, and I don't do drugs, and I do hang around with Brian. So I wanted to get that out there, too. Victor's laughing.
Rocky, Debbie. Rocky.
Oh, and by the way, Debbie, I want you on my show tomorrow night. I want to interview you.
I've said that before. Victor's wanted me to reiterate that I have no problem personally with Mr. Solution, as Brian has no problem personally with Bathtub Girl. And she is a viper to me. And so it's sort of an odd thing that we come together on that, you know what I mean?
I don't have a problem with him. It's just his behavior. I don't, like I said, I'm over it. I forgive him for his behavior. And I forgive his unforgiveness. And yes, I am standing victorious.
You are the champion. We get it.
Okay.
You won your battle, but seriously, Debbie, can I have you on tomorrow night or tonight for a show?
What time?
My show.
What time is your show? What time is your show?
I can schedule in the morning and schedule like at 8 p.m. your time or some crap like that.
Hold on, what? I'm sorry, Victor keeps talking to me. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted because Victor's talking to me, but what time is your show tonight, Chad? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, dear. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was saying I want you on 8 p.m. your time, so 9 p.m. my time.
Oh, that would be, you meant tonight being tonight. Okay, yeah. Let me write that down. 9 o'clock my time? Yeah, I don't have a problem.
8 p.m. your time.
8 p.m. my time on TalkShoe, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find you. What's the name of your show over there? The Chad Experience?
The Chad Factor.
The Chad Factor, whatever, same thing. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. Before we go off the air, which we're fixing to go off the air, I want to say again, Mr. Solution, are you good with me? Are you okay over there? Where are you? I know you're there. I see you.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're a smart man, and you know that I'm not Jewish producer says Victor is a nuisance. I didn't turn anything against you or anything against Brian. I didn't go either way. I just was trying to help two friends of mine maybe come to some sort of conclusion.
Well, Brian doesn't like strong and direct opposition, intelligent, incisive opposition, and so since he's crying, I just happened to tune in to your show, one of the better shows, and I just heard him crying and belly aching, so I said I would drop by and see what the hell was going on. And like I told him, I've always called into his show for fun. I mean, I've called into his show when